Hey, folks, we're back with a special episode of Three Men and Anime.
Three
Kind
men
of.
in an animated show.
Animated
Yes.
show, yes.
3 men in a cartoon.
Three blokes and a cartoon.
Yes.
There we go. 3 blokes in a cartoon. There we go.
Yes,
Western Gaijin special.
Gaijin special, indeed. So, yeah, as always, I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts, Eric Carlson and Gav Leaf. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing all right.
I am cool because I have a day off tomorrow.
Hooray!
I always have a day off tomorrow, so
You
technically I
have
should
Tuesdays
always be
off,
cool.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason we record on Mondays.
Yes.
It
So, yeah, we were talking about cartoons just in general, and it came to my attention and Eric's attention that Gav had not seen Gravity Falls yet.
It's a terrible sin.
No, it's because I've reached that point now where I don't watch much TV
Right.
unless something is either really, really hyped or it just falls across my radar naturally. And for some reason, a lot of these cartoons that are big around, like Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, all the big fad ones that come along, they don't seem to catch me. I've got into Rick and Morty, but that was, like season 3 was starting before I'd seen season 1. Episode 1. I knew who they were, but that was all. And we kind of got talking about, how, when you're talking about animation, obviously you're talking about anime because Japan's the best, right?
Right.
They just do
Well, of
everything,
course.
right?
Maybe.
They can't do.
They're the
They can't
bestest.
do-
Shut up.
No one can compete, and you'd shrug the West, especially considering like the 80s and the 90s. All the most popular shows were Japanese animated. Your Digimons, your Pokemon, all your stuff that got brought over and dubbed.
Right.
And
Then I said, hey, wait a minute.
West-
Disney did a whole bunch of great cartoons in the 90s.
yeah.
No,
Gargoyles
they all
and-
sucked. They were terrible.
Gargoyles and Batman. That's about it.
Gargoyles.
Gargoyles
DuckTales.
wasn't
DuckTales. Yeah.
Disney.
No, but it wasn't Disney. But
Gargoyles, Batman, Exo Squad,
Exo Squad
Oh,
wasn't
shit.
animated,
Animaniacs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Exo Squad-
it had shit
No.
animation.
though.
Yeah.
But I was
But
specifically
Great
talking about-
writing, shit animation.
But as we were discussing, it was like a lot of the shows, they weren't actual like long running, like other than the odd like Gargoyles and that kind of thing. The shows that were popular, the big ones, weren't really like story driven.
No, they weren't.
Like you had
Yeah.
Animaniacs, you had Freakazoid, you had all that kind of shit.
Yeah, you had all
that
the,
was
really
basic,
all the really good Warner Brothers stuff.
all the really
Yep.
good Warner Brothers stuff that was basically just the re-rise of the Looney Tunes.
Yep.
And the Western animation, the Western cartoon is basically dropped off, other than the big budget, Hollywood ones that
Right.
were all CGI and digital and all this sort of shit. And there's been some very good, very clever writers that have emerged in the last few years.
Yep.
That have basically done what makes all the best cartoons, in my opinion. It's like, yes, we're going to make this show for kids, but we're not going to talk down to them.
Right.
Mm. Well, I think a lot of that is part of the big TV renaissance that happened after everyone got sick of reality TV.
Yes.
Because a lot of these shows started around the same time as Game of Thrones and Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. Not that they had ever completely went away. I'm looking at you, Bruce Timm, and everything you've ever done. But they were the exception to the rule. Fuck you, Uncle Grandpa.
Yeah, there are a bunch of terrible. There was a bunch of terrible stuff, but there's just been a bunch of. Cartoon Network had a few real hidden gems that weren't really
Yes.
that hidden.
Now
But-
we do have to mention. You've got to mention the primetime shows that basically kept this, especially this oversimplified style of animation that makes these kind of shows cheap to produce or cheaper. Which is things like your Simpsons, your Futuramas, your Family Guys, your American Dads.
Right.
They and there's a meme out there on the internet that Seth MacFarlane has ruined art forever because everyone's just trying to draw boggle-eyed, huge mouths, And it's that is an art style that has become prominent, but
I don't know about that.
it's not impossible to animate that well. That's the thing.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
not at all. And I'm going to point out that that's pretty much been the Western style of animation for ever, since someone figured out flip books.
Yeah.
Like if you look back at some the early, early Disney stuff and some of the early Warner Looney Tunes stuff, and there's some, you can see where that came from.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, at any rate, so I suggested that maybe we watch a few episodes of Gravity Falls before we watch every the next series we're going to do, so that we if Gav was
There's
interested.
a reason JoJo's took so long to get through.
Yeah, because we were going to just do 2 episodes a night, basically, and then because as I put it, I was like, okay, well, we should do this because we could do a show on it, so we could talk about what, in my opinion, is the best Western cartoon in the past decade, and possibly the best animated series I've seen in a long time.
So what you're saying is you hate it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
it sucks
it's
balls.
terrible. It's a terrible show. Spoiler alert, this is literally one of my favorite shows. It's...
Yeah, I'll give you a hint, and I just said it before we started the recording, but if you ever come to the 3 Men and Anime YouTube page, and you see a special, generally it's going to be a positive review.
Right.
We don't
Because
generally...
it's not part of our regular rotation. It's not one that any of us have picked as part of the 3-step, rotation. It's not one that anyone's planned. It's just like, hey, do you want to watch this?
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
And if it's worthy, because God knows there's been some stinkers, and I've usually suggested them.
I don't know. I've had a couple myself, dude.
But if it's something that stands out and actually warrants us actually talking about it, then yes, we'll do one of these. And good God, we talked about this show.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about this show.
Yes.
So much to talk about this lovely show.
So, Gav, I think you are kind of almost hooked from the intro on.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a very wise woman once said, let us start at the beginning. It is a very good place to start.
So at the beginning, the universe is created.
Yeah, not that
That
far.
move that made a lot of people upset.
Yeah. I was hooked literally from the opening beat of the intro. Before I'd even seen the content of the show, because I can get drawn in by just the song. A show will, with me, stay with me because of the song "Looking at You," Martian Success and Desico, and a number of others. But it's like you get catchy songs, and then there's a song that just sticks with you, and you dismantle it in your head, and you think about what you're listening to, and obviously there's a guitar and a drum riff, but there's clapping. It incorporates whistling. There's a fucking xylophone in there.
Yep.
I hadn't realized that.
And it's such a big goddamn hero theme, while still getting that weirdness of the show across.
Yep.
And dude, it's legitimately my ringtone now. And I have missed calls because I'm like, nope, I'm listening. I get angry when people hang up and stop trying to get through because it stops the song. And it's not just me, because if you look on YouTube, there are millions, and I literally mean that, millions of remixes, extended versions, back-to-back versions where it's just on loop for 10 hours. This is a catchy-ass tune, and they do a great thing. This show is a 40-episode show, 2 seasons. They don't change the theme tune.
Nope.
They kind of do towards the end for a reason, but they use the same theme, same intro, same everything all the way through because they know they're onto a fucking winner.
Yeah, and dear God, the intro sequence is just beautifully animated.
It does an excellent job of giving you just a brief introduction of the characters, with them just doing random shit, basically.
Doing what they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you literally get like the three main characters, like Dipper, Mabel, and Stan. You literally just like that, like 5-second clip you see of each of the characters. You're just like, you know who they are from that.
And the thing with it is, there's little subtle bits of personality, even in the intro.
Yep.
Mm.
It's like there's the bit where like they go around and introduce everyone, and it's like it's just showing that Stan he's a shyster. He's a complete and utter con man.
Yep.
And like there's the intro, he's sat in his chair and he's like he's got the eye patch over. He pulls the eye patch to the other eye because it's complete bullshit anyway. And then instead of just mugging for the camera like a normal show would do, like high wave, it's like ha, and then looks off to others like is that it? it's only a tiny little movement, but it's just like they included this little bit where he does his smile for the camera and then looks off screen. He's like, "What?
Are we done?"
Yeah. Or there's a bit like in the intro where because it's all paranormal shit. Dipper and Mabel they're just in the bedroom goofing off, and they start floating. Mabel just oblivious, just carries on doing what she's doing. Dipper is engrossed in his book, but he looks up, he's like, "Wait, what the fuck?" And that's their personalities.
Yeah.
And little subtle little bits that you notice. And we're not even started talking about the show yet. This is just the intro.
It's just the opening.
Yeah. It is
Plus,
one of
like, all the hints about what's actually going on. And there is something actually going on for the entire show.
Yes.
That get dropped throughout
the other shows that we watch and the intros that we like, things like My Hero Academia or any of the big animes that we watch at the moment, it's always like, okay, this is cool. It's kind of cool. It's mostly just big, cool action shots with a cool tune over the end. There's a few little moments, but yeah. Very few actually do anything other than trying to go, look at this! Shiny!
There is a guy on YouTube that does full-on in-depth analysis of these. There's a lot more going on apparently than
there
most of us pick up.
Yeah, I've seen his show. I think his channel's Mother's Basement.
Yeah.
He does his intro analysis. His episodes where he does intro analysis of intros are all really good.
Yeah, the dude knows his shit.
Like
the dude understands film theory and all the other shit. So.
Yeah, like
accidental plug.
Yeah, but like the two notable ones that like the one I know the one I noticed personally is like the two intros for JoJo's, for instance, do a similar thing to this, to Gravity Falls, because when you go back and look at like the part 1 intro, you realize the intro is telling the story of part 1, and the intro of part 2 is telling the story of part 2.
Not enough cyborg Nazis. Anyway,
but
back to the show we're actually talking about.
But yeah, so Gravity Falls. So it's a show about primarily it's about two characters, two kids.
Yep.
Dipper
Twins,
and Mabel Pines. They're twin brother and twin sister, who've been sent off for the summer to live with their great uncle Stan in this small little podunk town in Oregon called Gravity Falls.
Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
And
there are no shortage of Oregon Trail jokes.
Oh yeah. And
ew.
They're not looking forward to it. It's and the way 12-year-olds will not look forward to that kind of thing.
Right.
12-year-old city kids getting sent out to the sticks.
Basically.
And in the first episode, shit gets weird.
Yeah, if you're not sure about this, I mean, like I say, the intro kind of starts to lay it out for you. This is a cross between X-Files meets Twin Peaks.
With a dash of Call of Cthulhu. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of X-Files, I'd go with Kolchak the Night Stalker just because it gets a little wackier than X-Files.
But for kids.
Yeah.
It really is kind of Twin Peaks for kids.
Yeah.
Which is a phrase that should never be said.
You'd be amazed how well this works, though.
Yeah.
I like all the props in existence to Alex Hirsch, the writer for the show.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Jesus, this is something that should not have worked, and it does. So, at any rate, yeah. So they show up, and their Uncle Stan runs this. He runs this little place called the Mystery Shack, which is a complete and utter tourist trap.
Yes.
It's one of those roadside tourist traps that you'll see while crossing America, like the giant ball of yarn, or the place where Abraham Lincoln took a dump once, or that kind of deal.
The thing is with Stan, though, when you say tourist trap, you can quite imagine there are bear traps in that building.
Yes. Probably repainted and named something else.
He's a ruthless con man.
Yeah. It displays all the paranormal shit that is in Gravity Falls, except it's all hoaxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are actually references to a lot of famous hoaxes in the Mystery Shack.
Yes.
Which is just awesome.
And, so basically, things seem kind of dull. Mabel and Stan just basically immediately dragoons Mabel and Dipper into helping
Working
out
at
around the shack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
They
also
have free labor.
Yeah, we're introduced also to the two teenagers the teenager and the young adult who work at the shack. The teenager is this young girl, this teenage girl by the name of Wendy.
Wendy is awesome.
Wendy is awesome. They're all awesome.
They're all awesome. They really
all
are.
awesome. Wendy is the teenage girl you do not fuck with.
No, dear God, no. She comes from a lumberjack family, and yeah.
Yeah.
And Seuss, the handyman for the shop, for the Mystery Shack, who is this just wonderfully lovable and far brighter than he you initially think he is, man-child, honestly.
Yeah.
There's even Stan even makes that joke, and he's like, Zeus, you've become a hell of a man, child.
But Seuss is he's easygoing, incredibly likable.
Yeah.
And he really does seem kind of dim at times, but then you realize there is a brain there.
Yeah.
It's just that
he sometimes pulls a Homer Simpson every now and again.
Yeah, except he doesn't come across. He only starts off coming across as dim. It's really more that he's just sort of laid back and easygoing.
He's laid back and easygoing, and it is fine playing the comedy relief role.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's not he's not brilliant. He's not super smart, but he's not dumb either.
Right.
Plus, he's one of those characters. It's basically he's honestly the bridge between the adults and the kids.
Yes.
Because he gets along with all of them. He can act. When he's in a scene with Dipper and Mabel, you could believe he's a really big 10-year-old. When he's in a scene with Stan and he's being the handyman, he's a grown-up doing his job.
Yep.
His
He's
a young grown-up.
Well, yeah, but his character doesn't change.
No.
But he's still, he can still interact with both of them at the same time, at like both levels, while being completely on their level. It's yeah.
I mean, Seuss also has more than a bit of hero worship for Stan in a lot of ways.
A lot of transferred paternal affection.
Yes.
Like, he really wants Stan to be his dad.
Yeah.
Like, jokes are made about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we later find out why, and it makes total sense.
Yes.
And Wendy is, the coolest teenage girl you will ever meet, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
There's not a 14-year-old alive that will not end up crushing on Wendy.
Yeah. They do the thing where, she starts off as the typical owner, she's got this job in a dumb store where she doesn't have to do anything, and she just,
she's bored all the time.
Bored all day. She's a typical teenager, she skies off and disappears upstairs, or tries to do everything to do she get out of work. But then the more that she starts hanging around and the more Dipper and Mabel start to hang around and become friends with her, the more she comes into the group, you realise she's a complete and utter badass.
Yes.
While being a complete and utter sweetheart at the same time.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, she's great. Again, Wendy's amazing. They're all amazing.
They're all really much more complex and realized characters than you should expect, honestly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Honestly, the art style and where it is a fucking trap.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of scenes where we spotted a couple of moments where almost to the point where you shouldn't be able to do that with that art style. Like the inflections and the hints that it gives you with facial expression and just eye contact. Look at their eyes, round circles, black dots.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. That all comes down to good animation direction and good voice work. You'd be surprised how good voice work. How much good voice work lends to that.
Yeah. And again, this is a Disney show.
Yeah. So they know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
There's no question there.
Like it has to be reiterated. This is Disney, and it's not Disney's A team. But Disney's B team is better than, like, most animation studios out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's at any rate. So, and we should talk a little bit. So, Dipper and Mabel are they're twins, and they're very different from each other. But it is really clear that they love each other and they get along very well, despite their glaring differences.
They do a great job of making sure that you never at any point think these are two separate characters. It's like they are brother and sister. They are a unit. They are a pair. That's they are brother and sister. Absolutely, 100%. They
Wouldn't that they're
very
twins.
Yes, they are very different characters, but they are definitely twins.
Yeah, like they have arguments. They are believable kids. They're believable 12-year-old siblings.
Yes.
And they do a really good job of being one another's foils.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They have the moments of selfishness that kids do. They have the moments of ignorance, and that the moments where they have to swallow their pride and make up. It's as daft it sounds. There's not because quite a lot of times where when one of them's upset, the other one has to be the big sibling and comfort them,
That happens with Dipper more than anything else. Dipper is the one who makes compromises more often than not.
Mabel does it every now and again,
right? But it's usually Dipper that makes the compromise because Dipper's the cool-headed, logical one.
Yes,
he knows when it's just not worth it to push the issue any further.
Yep.
Yeah,
and he loves his sister. I mean,
clearly.
And so as you said, he's cool-headed, he's logical, he is staggeringly bright for a 12-year-old.
Yes.
And he's got this sort of social awkwardness that a lot of nerds do at that age.
Yeah, he's a nerd, but he's a nerdy Indiana Jones, honestly.
Yes. Well,
like he's got that whole call to adventure and action. He really wants to explore and figure shit out and just find cool stuff.
Yeah, and as the show goes on, he becomes more comfortable in his own skin.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like I say, he's from a city. He's from the city. They're from California originally, and he loves the mysterious. He loves the weird. He likes to get to the bottom of places, and he's wound up in the weirdest place in America.
Yeah. Right.
This is literally perfect, destination for this guy.
The first episode has gnomes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mabel is almost everything Dipper isn't. She's gregarious. Oh. She's outgoing.
There is a great line in goofy. This where later in the season.
Well, they're both goofy.
It's season 2, but there's a big decision going on about stuff, and we won't spoil it. But the line comes out about Mabel going off and making friends, and the character in question goes, "Oh, look, Mabel will be fine. I've seen her become pen pals with the pizza guy in the 7 minutes he was here delivering a pizza. She will be fine." and that is legitimate. She makes friends with everyone she meets,
Just
or at
about.
least tries to. Yeah,
She tries to make friends with everyone she meets and succeeds like 90% of the time.
yeah.
Like her only failures are she wants to fall in love and have like a summer romance with somebody,
Right.
and she's
She's
on
also
just
more
a
than a
little
bit.
strong.
Just
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
The only person that she doesn't get on with is, and to be honest, it's fairly obvious, is her foil, her antagonist.
Yeah.
That's literally it. There's one character, well, two characters, is the antagonists, and that's it.
Well, do we count Pacifica?
That's who I was counting. Sorry,
So,
I
yeah,
don't
but
see.
Pacifica's
I
her
don't see.
foil.
I don't. Yes, I don't
But
see.
Pacifica is very much
being-
a Dipper character, though, also, because she interacts with Dipper. Pacifica interacts with Dipper almost more than she does with Mabel. Because Dipper is the one that tells her to fuck off all the time.
I mean, Mabel and Pacifica interact more at the when she's first introduced, and she's presented as Mabel's foil. She's a spoiled rich kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pacifica is like all these hick towns. There's like one really rich family in there, and she's the spoiled brat that like can buy everything.
Yep.
Therefore, honest, kind-hearted goodness and friendship has no interest to her.
And as the show goes on, you know,
Two-dimensional Valley Girl stereotype. What?
Nowhere near the valley. That's the ironic thing. Mabel's from California. She doesn't know how to handle Pacifica.
California's big,
Big.
Gav.
Well, okay.
and the thing is, Mabel's wrong. Pacifica's not a Valley Girl stereotype.
No.
She is the stuck-up rich girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's the wasp.
Yeah. But you know, the really interesting thing is because of her interactions with Dipper, she grows and becomes
Yes.
she starts figuring shit out.
I will admit, if you had to focus, the show is Dipper's, but it wouldn't work without Mabel.
Yeah.
No, Mabel's... Yeah.
I mean, they are, as you put it, Gav, they're a unit.
Yes,
The show is also Stan's story, though.
very much
Very
so.
much so.
Yeah.
So Grunkle Stan, Grand Uncle Stan, Grunkle is I love the term.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a great term. I wish I'd thought of it. But yeah, Stan is, as you know, as Gav we pointed out, he's very clearly a con man. You know, he would be a dangerous used car salesman and was.
Yeah. As we find out later on, he is banned in many, many states.
Yes.
Stan's a con man and a criminal and is not afraid to admit it or talk to people about it.
Right.
Like, this is a nice job. I've been in a jail this nice since Colombia.
Yeah. The thing is that despite all of this, Stan has this just core of decency buried deep within him. Like, really
Usually when
deep.
it comes to his own family.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is primarily
Stan's-
focused on his family, but
Yes, Stan's the rogue with the heart of gold.
in a lot of ways.
It's just getting through that crunchy bastard shell to get to the jerk-off center under with is another bastard, and then eventually get that heart of gold.
Yeah.
There is just a lot of bastard to dig through.
Yeah. But he's weirdly charming.
Well, he wouldn't work otherwise.
Right. And is hilarious.
Yes.
And so these are the five. These five are the core cast of the show.
Yes.
You know, Wendy is probably the least central at first, But she really comes into her own later on in the show, like, as the show goes on.
Early on in the show, she's very much Dipper's unrequited love interest.
Yes.
Because Dipper, like any sane heterosexual boy his age, was crushing hard on Wendy.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, kick-ass redhead, come on!
Who is just a complete sweetheart.
Yeah,
that's part of being kick-ass.
She's super nice to him, you know. But to her credit, it's all fist bumps and bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
she's
not,
not leading him along at all. She just thinks he's cool.
It's just he's a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and is careful not to lead him on. She's like,
yes,
we're droogs. I'm not gonna like they don't directly address his crush on her until it gets shoved in everybody's face, and she's like, yeah, I like being your friend, but I was pretty careful not to lead you on, dude.
and Dipper. The best part about that scene is an amazing scene.
Yes.
That little conversation where, you know, and she basically points out, you know, yeah, I knew you had a crush on me. And I was very careful not to lead you on because, you know.
And the thing about it is, and we discussed this at
you
the time.
think when you mutter to yourself, I'm not listening.
Yeah. He's like, damn it. But we had that discussion when that scene happened. And it's like, yeah, okay, Dipper's 12, she's what, 14, 15.
She's 15.
Right.
It's only 3 years difference. So in like Eric said, by the time they get to college and all the rest of it, it's not going to matter.
Right.
If that's still there.
Yeah, if that's still there. I mean.
But, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, he's a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah,
she's a high school girl. You know, as far as she's concerned, like, no fucking way.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It doesn't mean anything in 10 years. Right now, it's a fucking gulf.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. They don't try and lead it on or give him false hope or, you know, have anything like that. She doesn't. She never once, even like way down the line, even spoilers, even at the last episode when they're saying goodbye, you know, she doesn't give him a kiss or anything like that, even a peck on the cheek or anything like that. It's just see you later, kid. You know.
Yep.
Friends,
and
all that.
Gives him the shoulder punch. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Shoulder punch. That's.
But you know, it's also very clear she really cares about him as a friend.
Yeah,
Yes.
He's pretty much her best friend.
Yeah,
like she has a group that she hangs out with, but she's not particularly close to any of them. And it's pretty clear by how much time she spends at both the shack and with Dipper.
Yeah. No, and she flat out says, you know, you are one of the coolest people I have ever met.
Yeah.
If we're ever not friends, that would fucking suck.
Yeah.
Plus, they do a thing as well where even after this is how clever they are with the show. It's like even after they've had that scene where it's like, okay, we're cool, just friends, fine. It's not over for Dipper because at the end of the day, yeah, okay, he's, you know, it's all cool. He knows where he stands, but he even says it himself. Yeah, I get it, but you can't just turn yourself off. So they have little moments a little bit later on where he still might have like a couple of pictures in his scrapbook or something like that, or an old carving, you know, when you like kids do, you know, or some little point that Mabel might find and give him a hard time over it.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, and he's like,
Look, that the Chaos God eventually gets into him. There is a Chaos God in this series.
Yeah. But it's literally like a case of Dipper is mature enough, even at that age, to go, look, I know, but, you know. It's probably even with mature shows, it's probably one of the better relationships, the way handled like that sort of way. Yes. The unrequited love thing is probably one of the best examples I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really appreciate that they don't get together.
Yeah,
I think that's actually pretty damn awesome.
But yeah, so anyways, back to sort of what instigates the whole ongoing story of the show is, you know, Stan sends Dipper outside to hang up some signs and stuff, and he stumbles across this he stumbles across something that he notices something's been buried in somewhere, and he digs up this buried book, This leather-bound book with a handprint in gold leaf on the cover with the number 3 written on it.
And 6 fingers.
Yeah, it's a 6-fingered hand, and so he starts reading it, and it's talking about all the weird shit in Gravity Falls. You know, and it's got things like don't trust no one, etc. You know, Gravity Falls is far more than it seems, etc.
They call it a journal, but it's much more like a cross between a magical grimoire, a naturalist's field notes,
That's what
and
it
a
is.
technical manual.
We find out
It
later
sort of
on
does
that
all of
he's-
those things at once.
Yeah. But at first he's like, oh, okay, it must be one of Uncle Stan's
Pranks.
knockoffs.
Right,
or-
like, eye bats, what the fuck are those? Gnomes,
Yeah.
fuck that.
Yeah.
And this is when we're introduced to the first guy, I use the term loosely, that Mabel has in this first episode. She's been, trying to hit on any guy she thinks is cute.
Anything with a dick she hit on.
Basic, well, and in the roughly the right age range.
Yeah, the right age bracket. She's not like hitting on old men or babies or anything.
And, she comes on really strong, and they all basically run in terror. Because she's a wonderful, sweet kid, but...
Yeah, she comes on strong.
Yeah. And honestly, I've kind of just realised it. That is actually where Wendy splits into this group. You know how I said Zeus is the gap between the adults?
Yep.
Wendy's more that where they go for that sort of mature backup without the adults, because
Right.
Wendy spends a lot of time with Mabel as well, and anytime Mabel's got like boy trouble, she's always she basically always asks Wendy, and Wendy's advice is usually pretty solid.
Yep.
It's like, dude, you're 12 years old, don't worry about it.
But yeah, so Mabel comes back to the shack with this boy who likes her. And Dipper's like, okay, that's odd. Okay, why is he walking into the door frame? He's kind of shambling. Wait,
And
I
he's
saw something in
wearing
the
a-
journal about zombies. Wait,
he's
what?
He's wearing a hooded robe.
Yeah,
as
he's
well.
constantly wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
Has a drool of something red coming from his side of his mouth. It's like, it's jam.
Jam.
And so Dipper basically tries to figure out, like, he basically tells Mabel, shows her the book, and like tells her like he's not a guy, and she refuses to believe it. So he spends a while trying
No. She's hoping that he's a vampire.
Well, yes.
Because this is the other part. It's like, it's like, this is my friend, and it's like she didn't even know his name at the point when she brought him into the house.
Right.
And he introduces himself. Is it Norman?
Norman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, because it starts to say he's a normal.
Norman.
Norman. Yeah.
He was going to say normal, but
Yeah, and it's like she goes, "Yeah, I met him at the graveyard." It's like-
and so Dipper spends some time trying to, like, okay, yeah, like spying on them, trying to get proof that he's, and he doesn't get anything convincing until Norman's hand falls off and he puts it back
Yes.
on.
Yeah.
And then the confrontation happens. Dipper's like, he basically, before that, okay, fine, Mabel's right. He's just a klutzy, weird guy. And then he sees the hand thing, but Mabel's gone off. And Norman basically starts, getting kind of serious about the relationship with Mabel, and reveals that he's not like other boys, as I think is actually the way he phrased it, stealing it from, the
Twilight. Yeah,
video.
they're totally doing the Twilight.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Thriller. Yeah.
The Twilight Zone too, but yeah. And so Mabel's like, oh yes, he's a vampire, and he takes off the hoodie and his clothes and reveals that it's a whole bunch of gnomes stacked up as a person.
Which is hilarious.
Which none of us. Well, I mean, admittedly, I was the only one at that point that hadn't seen it, but I'm pretty sure on your first viewing,
Nope.
No,
one
I
did
had
not
no
see that
idea.
coming.
I cracked up.
gnomes.
I had
died
to
laughing.
pause it to stop to keep. I had to pause. I was laughing so
And
much.
these are stereotypical gnomes. These are bright tunics, red pointy hats.
Beards.
They're garden gnomes.
Yes.
They're garden gnomes.
Oh my god, David the Gnome, but weird.
Yes. Yeah.
We want to take you back to make you our queen and wife.
And Mabel's like, no? And they basically try to kidnap her when Dipper shows up.
Yep. They don't try to kidnap her, they do.
They do, yes. And Dipper shows up, and he's like, okay, I'm going to save you, Mabel, from these gnomes. What?
Mabel's sitting there fighting them and like kicks one in the stomach, who then leans over and vomits rainbows. I had to pause the show the second time in the this half-hour episode.
Now, take into account the episode opened with them in the golf cart. This is like the intro, to, like the opening narration is Dipper basically narrating what's happening at that moment in time, and essentially they're in the golf cart that it's like the Shaq's like maintenance.
The Shaq's go-kart.
It's a golf cart, basically stolen, and
Sam probably stole it. Yes.
Yeah, they're terrassing away from this huge black massive shape that's chasing them, and we get the whole and this is basically where we came in kind of deal,
right?
Because god damn if the gnomes haven't formed Devastator.
Yeah, that's the thing. Whereas I'm sitting here going, okay, this is hilarious, but how does that tie into the giant monster? And then they combine to form Gnome Devastator. I'm like, this is the best show I've ever seen.
Cue the chase of Gnome Devastator chasing the twins in a golf cart through the forests,
firing gnomes out of his palms. It's great.
And the gnomes like latch onto things, start gnawing on them comically. It's amazing.
Schmebulok.
One of them is named Schmebulok, yes.
And that is all he can say.
That is all he can say is
That's all
Schmebulok.
I can say, Schmebulok.
And
there's a part where it's like, okay, guys, the game's over. You can get down now, Joe, Bob, Doug, Phil, Mike. What's your name again? Schmebulok. Okay.
Oh my god! And earlier in the episode, Mabel is practicing kissing with a leaf blower.
Yes,
because she's not dumb, but she has weird ideas.
She has poor impulse control.
Yes,
Dipper is the entirety of her impulse control.
Do not let Mabel near sugar.
Oh no.
Oh, I remember that scene from the convenience store episode.
Yeah, there's a great callback to it. Like, I won't spoil, but there's a great scene where Mabel gets into basically outdated, like
dip.
sherbet mix fun dip, and it's so out of date. But she just gets
tripping balls.
Tight on it. And there's a scene later on where she's acting a little bit weird and she's getting obsessive with something, and Dipper's like, "Oh God, did she get into the fun mix again?"
But anyway, so she's doing that, and the reason we're covering this first episode so much is A, it's how everything starts, and B, it does the thing that the show does so often, where it has things that it sets things up and they come back later in intelligent, smart ways that are hilarious.
Yes,
almost everything that's referenced over the whole fucking 40 episodes pops up in the last the 3-part finale.
Yep.
So,
almost everything.
Yeah. So they defeat the garden gnomes with the leaf blower. In just a beautifully comic way.
Like and we're talking a lot about the first episode because it's a great microcosm of the series.
Yes, that's exactly why.
It's also that you get that great moment. Again, another great example of these are just kids.
Yeah.
It's like Mabel both of them, Mabel and Dipper, both end up with, they are bigger than the people they're fighting. The gnomes individually are very small. And they now have a weapon.
Yes.
So they chase them around laughing maniacally like, "Run, you little bastards!" And it's not to make them nasty or mean characters. but it's that moment of, oh, yes, you know, these gnome bastards have been terrorizing them. And yes, great, like, validated comeuppance.
Yes. This happens a fair bit in the show.
Yes.
Because, at which point, Dipper during the chase loses his hat, and because he wears a baseball cap.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at the end of it, they've done, Stan's decided they've been helpful, they've done some good work, because he doesn't know anything about the gnomes.
Right.
And Dipper talks about, brings up the whole supernatural stuff, and Stan's just like, no, there's no supernatural shit.
Stan claims not to know about the gnomes.
Right. Well, that's what Stan says.
At that point in time, yeah.
Yeah, so he's saying he doesn't believe in any of this shit. There's nothing weird going on in Gravity Falls, but they've been good. They've actually been helpful. So, okay, you two, pick out one thing each from the shop you can keep.
Yeah,
you can as sort of a little gift. So and Dipper grabs a baseball cap with a little pine tree on it.
And Mabel grabs a grappling hook.
The grappling hook launcher.
Grappling hook!
Which she has lots of fun with, and is completely useless for a good long while.
There are a couple times where it actually is useful.
Well, that's the thing is, as always, it's a payoff.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, it's useful at least 2 or 3 times each season.
Yep.
But you never know which time she pulls it out, it's going to be useful. Because most of the time, it's just extra trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, the first time she pulls it out, she just fires it up into the ceiling. It wraps around the rafter and pulls her up.
Yeah.
It's like, great.
She tries to use it to grab something and breaks like a jar of something.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be perfectly fair, in the same position as the Pines twins, I also would have grabbed the grappling hook.
Grappling hook!
But yeah, this is the reason we spent so long on that first episode, because it's the pilot.
Yeah,
it's the show it's the episode that's designed to grab you in, and
it's an excellent pilot. It does an excellent job of showing you what the show's all about and setting the tone for everything.
I've seen people on YouTube trying to post here's the secret unaired pilot, and it's like, no, dude, it's the same fucking episode with a lower animation budget.
Yeah.
And it's like the pilot, from the first draft, so to speak, didn't change. It was the same episode. Great. It was just so well done.
Yep.
Told you everything you need to know about the characters, made you like them, primarily, and then introduced the weirdness that is, continue for the rest of the fucking show.
Yeah. So for the next few episodes, it's basically Monster of the Week for a while.
Yeah.
Weird shit happens. There's poltergeist at the convenience store. Wax figures come to life and try to kill Stan.
Oh, that was a great episode.
We do meet 2 important characters.
We'll get to that.
Philipford McGucket.
We
meet throwaway Monster of the Week episode.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Gideon Gleeful.
Whom we'll both talk about.
Yes.
In just a moment.
Because we have to.
So as we're saying, it's basically Monster Week for a while, but they introduce Philipford McGucket, who is this lunatic hillbilly, who seems like this harmless lunatic hillbilly.
Yeah, he's a local crazy.
He's an old local hillbilly coot. I mean,
yeah.
With all sort of those classic sort of fake hillbilly dash gommit weird sayings type.
Yeah, he's always hollering.
He's got a.
He doesn't yell. He hollers.
He hollers. Yeah. He's got he's disheveled. He's got a long white beard.
Which for some reason has a Band-Aid on it.
He's got a Band-Aid. He's got a Band-Aid on the beard. Yes. Crazy eyes. Run down clothes, overalls and stuff.
Lives in the junkyard.
Yep. And it turns out he's a genius inventor.
He's just completely batshit insane.
Bonkers.
Yes.
And we meet the first sort of recurring antagonist in Gideon Gleeful. Gideon's another kid, and he's a carny psychic, basically.
Gideon Gleeful sort of this amalgam of crooked megachurch priest and psychic hotline
Con
and
artist.
confidence man. Yeah. Like he ends up being a bit of a foil for Stan also. They're both con artists. It's just that Gideon's a lot slicker than Stan is.
Yeah, and Gideon also has this. Gideon also has everyone wrapped around his finger because he's this short, pudgy, adorable little kid.
Yeah.
And a
Sing
powder
and
blue
dance.
suit with a white pompadour.
And he can sing and dance and
And he's really good at playing playing up the innocent little kid.
yes,
Yes.
very.
He plays
very
up the
good at it.
cuteness hard.
And basically everybody buys into it except Dipper.
Except Dipper and Stan.
Yeah, oh, Stan, of course.
Stan sees right through, looks at him and goes, "Yep, I know that gig."
Yeah, it's the you
See,
can't
this-
con a con artist.
I
See,
can't.
this is the thing. So Stan, he might be more. Gideon's more slick, but Stan has decades of experience,
Yes.
Yes.
and he knows exactly the shit that Gideon's pulling.
Yep. Because
He's not the
Stan's probably
smartest
tried
man
it
in
at
the
some
world.
point.
Yeah, exactly. Stan's not the smartest man in the world, but he knows a con when he sees one.
Yeah.
Stan has gobs and gobs of low cunning.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, we forgot
Like
one.
replace intelligence with low cunning, and you have Stan.
Yeah. There's one other thing that we should mention about the pilot: the very ending, when the kids
Yes.
have gone to bed, and Stan comes back downstairs, goes to the vending machine, hits a bunch of the
secret
buttons,
code.
a secret code in the thing, into it, and it opens up, revealing a secret passage behind it, with like light coming up from it, and he goes in and closes the door behind him,
Yes.
and leaving you going, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
That I forgot about that. That was the big final hook for the pilot.
Yeah,
If
and
he hadn't got you by that point, you're like, oh, wait, shit, what?
there's more going on, even more going on here than we thought,
Yeah.
and that doesn't come back up for a while.
No.
I think once every 3 episodes, maybe you might see a scene with Stan disappearing behind the vending machine. Maybe even once every 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
They really space it out, but they make sure to keep you aware of it.
Yeah. They show you just enough that you don't forget about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Gideon crushes hard on Mabel.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Mabel is charmed by him. She likes him. And they become friends. And of course Gideon is planning to,
Steal her away and marry her and all that
Yeah,
other
yeah.
craziness.
Gideon has plans and he wants her to be his queen, basically.
Yeah. And Dipper sees that Gideon's crushing hard and is not entirely stable, shall we say. He's like, listen, you got to break it off with him. And Mabel's like, no, we're just friends. Honestly, no, you are not just friends. But I just want to be friends. He's not going to let you.
You got to let him down. It's like it's more. It's again at this point, Dipper doesn't think Gideon is
Evil.
evil. He thinks he's a con artist because he knows how
Right.
psychics work.
Gideon's a con artist, but he sees some dude crushing hard on a girl that's not interested. He's like, oh yeah, that seems familiar somehow.
Yeah, but again, it's also it's like he recognized that his sister likes the guy as a person, so he's like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. But Mabel, you should let him down. He's really really crushing on you. She's like, no, we're just friends. And then Gideon basically does big romantic gestures, and Mabel's like, oh
shit.
okay, I have to let him down, and she can't because he keeps like upping the stakes on his romantic gestures, and Mabel's like, what? But she doesn't want to crush him.
Every time she starts the conversation, he sees it coming. He does something like big.
He does something to
grandiose,
distract her or change the subject. Yeah,
over huge gesture. Like he takes her out to the best restaurant in Gravity Falls, and because it's Lil Gideon, as soon as she starts the conversation, all he has to do is get somebody's attention, and that's it. They move to the best table. They're everything's upgraded. They have a big party, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, as an aside, yes, Gideon is a horrible person.
Yes.
Oh yes.
He's a bad
this
man.
is all just manipulative bullshit.
Yep.
He is right. You know what? Right. Gideon, behind closed doors, when he's not being, when he's not
When he
acting.
sheds his persona.
Yeah, when he sheds a persona, he makes Cartman look like a fucking saint.
I won't go that far.
Yeah, I can't see Gideon chopping up someone's parents and serving them up as chili.
Really?
No, not without a greater purpose.
He wouldn't do it just to do it.
Well, yeah.
Because
Okay.
Cartman did it just to do it.
Gideon is also not a, monumentally racist, homophobic. Cartman is one of the worst people in existence.
Yeah. But the part of it I was referring to more is the spoiled, dominating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And
You
so
know,
his parents are
dominating.
terrified of Gideon.
Yes.
His mother especially. She's just like a wreck.
Nervous wreck, yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad is a bit scared of him, but also,
Does a
Gideon's-
good job of knowing what buttons to push to distract Gideon from wherever the hell, what's his name? Gordon Gleeful?
I think it's Gordon,
Bud.
yeah.
Wasn't it Bud?
Bud
Gleeful, yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Bud, yeah.
But knows what buttons to push to pacify him and to distract him from whatever the hell he needs to get done.
But
Right.
if he says something out of line and even remotely hints that he might be chastising Gideon, he backpedals so fast he goes back in time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's all part of that's because Bud realizes Gideon is his meal ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's no small part of it. But it's also Gideon scares him.
Because Gideon also has a journal.
Yeah.
Mm.
And also at that point has a stone that gives him actual psychic powers.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is
Like,
telekinesis
kinda-
and shit.
yeah, telekinesis, which is terrifying in the hands of an immoral psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, this sort of, sets up the that episode ends with, Mabel realizing exactly what kind of a monster Gideon is.
And Dipper smashing the amulet.
Right. But this sets up Gideon as, a major antagonist because he already hated Stan.
Yep.
Dipper has just stolen Mabel away from him, and Mabel's broken his heart.
Mm.
Now, Gideon wants to...
Dipper did more than just steal Mabel, though. He also ruined his way of legitimately using psychic abilities.
Right. Yeah, it's... Dipper is, he
hates Dipper.
Oh my god.
He
Like-
hates Dipper.
Yep. And so for the next chunk of for most of the rest of the season, Gideon shows up from time to time trying to basically take the shack away from Stan
Right.
in some way or another. And the twins foil him every time.
Up until the last, up until the
Second
season,
to last episode.
second to last episode.
Yeah.
After a few attempts and being humiliated by Stan and being foiled by Dipper and Mabel.
Yeah.
Stan's very good at him, just offhandedly humiliating Gideon.
Yep.
Largely because he sees right through him. Gideon decides that he's sick of shit. You know what? I'm going to try this thing the book says never to do. I'm going to summon something.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically wants to get the code to the safe in the mystery shack so he can sneak in and steal the deed and therefore legally own the shack and kick them out. So he summons a extraplanar entity, we'll call him, to slip into Stan's mind and pluck out the code for him.
This
So,
energy,
and this is where,
Yeah.
and this is where we're introduced to the greatest Disney villain of all time, Bill Cipher.
Bill is he's a basically the sort of the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill.
He's that with a top hat and a cane.
Yep, and little stick finger hands and feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Bill is charming and silly and
Abjectly terrifying.
yeah.
Pants shittingly terrifying when he wants to be.
Yeah.
Not even when he wants to be, just accidentally.
Yeah. It's he comes across. You're right. He comes across as charming when he's really focusing on it. He comes across as charming and
charming and
He's
knowledgeable
a
and friendly.
He's a game show host.
Another con man.
Yeah. He's a game show host. He's like, "Hey kid, how you doing?" And he calls Gideon by name. He's like, "Well, you know me? Yeah, I know a lot of things. I can do a lot of things too. Watch this." Points over and pulls the teeth out of a deer's head.
Yes.
Out of its mouth.
It's like out of its mouth, and he's like,
gives it to Gideon as a gift.
Here, have some teeth as a gift.
Yeah.
And he
It's
legitimately means, here, have some deer teeth. This is something humans like, right? Humans like teeth.
Yeah. And it turns out Gideon doesn't want them, so he's like, suit yourself, puts them back.
Yep.
And it shows you the kind of casual power Bill flings around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, it's made clear that he is, like you said, extra play now. He lives within the mindscape. He doesn't actually exist in the real world. He doesn't have
And
a
Gideon
body.
does summon him by carving a hermetic circle in the middle of the woods, lighting blue-flamed candles, and chanting in an unknown language. So draw your conclusions there.
Yep.
But basically, he's for all intents and purposes, because of the dimensional rifts and things involved, he is a dream demon.
Right.
And so he basically makes a deal. He makes a deal with Gideon, and they shake on it with this bright blue flash of light. Also, note when Bill offers his hand for the handshake to seal the deal, his hand lights up with blue flame.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is not ominous.
It's deal with the devil. That's basically it.
Yes.
This is ominous.
Yeah. And so this leads to a brilliant, just phenomenal bit with with our heroes minus Stan diving into Stan's brain to basically stop Bill from
Head off
stealing the code.
Bill, right.
Yeah.
And we learn a bunch about Stan in the process, including his feelings towards Dipper. Because Dipper had for a while been feeling like Stan just didn't like him.
Stan hates him, is
Yeah.
the conclusion he comes
Yeah.
to.
He's always hard on him. He gives him all the ass jobs. The worst of the worst. If he makes a mistake, he gets Dipper to clean it up. He's basically Dipper's feeling like he's just giving him all the shit because he doesn't like him.
Right. And at one point, Dipper finds a memory of him and Seuss, of Stan and Seuss talking while watching Dipper chop wood. And Stan's like, "Yeah, look at him. He's weak. He's nervous. He's a goddamn wreck. He's a loser. Just want to fucking get rid of him." And then Dipper walks out. Later on in the episode, he comes back to hear the end of the conversation, where he tells Seuss, which is exactly how everyone thought and treated about me when I was his age. So, I got to watch out for him. I got to toughen him up.
Stan's doing this because he actually cares about Dipper and wants to toughen him up. And
it's also a great little bit about just how, again, it's another hint that Stan knows exactly not exactly what's going on, but Stan's aware of him more than he lets on. Because this is basically Stan's memory. And it's Dipper looking in an old memory. Until Stan turns around and sees Dipper there in his mind. He's like, "Hey, kid. Wait, you can see me? Sure I can.
It's my mind.
I know you're there. It's my mind. I can do what I want."
It's my mind. I know everything is going on here. It's my mind. Would you like some soda?
You can do it. You know what? And we're in the mindscape, so you can do what you want too.
Which is how they manage to drive Bill out.
Yes.
Is Dipper
Defeat Bill,
realizing we can do
quotation marks.
anything we can think of we can do.
Which, they didn't really drive Bill out so much as Bill didn't have reason to be there anymore because Gideon welches on the deal.
Right.
having found an alternate means of doing it. And he was honestly getting annoyed with what the kids were doing.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. You guys have this one. I've got better things to do.
Yeah. But they bought time to get him to. Yeah. Basically, almost all of them are like, yeah, we beat Bill, and Dipper's like,
well,
not so sure about that.
That's even brought up later on. Bill comes back and tries to make a deal with Dipper at a later point, and Dipper's like, "You stay back. I've beaten you once before." And Bill's like, "Yeah,
beat me. Sure,
beat me. Sure." Hey, you know what? Here's a reward. Here's a head that won't stop screaming. And he gives him a head that won't stop screaming.
Again, because Bill is not human. Bill is so very not human. It's great.
Yes.
It really is. He does an excellent job of being utterly alien at the same time personable.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Oh. So, yeah.
Smashing is... There's a brief point where Bill possesses Dipper's body. He's like, hey, wow, these things are durable, and starts smashing his arm into a drawer. Wow, Pain's hilarious.
Yes, slapping himself in the mirror. Pain is hilarious. Hey, I'll meet you downstairs. Just goes stiff and falls down the stairs. Stabbing himself with forks and, pouring soda in his eye. It's like, wow, I haven't been in a body for a while. This is weird. He's like looking at it. He's like, wow, 2 arms, 2 legs. Okay, I can't float, but 2 eyes. Man, this thing's deluxe. It's obviously Bill's a Cyclops, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So yeah, and Gideon basically after Welshing deal with Bill, Gideon just literally uses dynamite to blow the safe open.
The living room. Yes.
He goes back to Plan A,
which works.
Yes.
He just stops being subtle, blows the place up.
And apparently, laying physical possession on the deed means you automatically own it.
Gravity Falls has a lot of weird laws, which comes up several times.
Yes. You can legally marry a woodpecker.
You can legally marry a woodpecker on one particular day of the year.
And there's a guy who's married to a woodpecker.
Yes.
This shows up more than once. The way they elect their mayor is special.
Yeah.
And the Freedom Eagle floats down to the one with the most bird seed and bestows upon them a birdly kiss on the forehead. I am not making this up.
No, he's not. Also, they have to give a stump speech on a literal stump.
Yep. And to qualify to even stand for election as mayor, you must be able to cast a shadow and own a hat to throw in the hat. To throw in the ring.
To throw into the ring.
Literally, you need to own a hat. If you don't own a hat, you can't be mayor.
Gravity Falls is weird, man. I mean the town, not just the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not even counting all the paranormal weirdness.
Yeah. Like, seriously, if there wasn't any paranormal stuff, this place would still be weird.
By this point, they've also established that Gravity Falls isn't just weird for no reason.
Right.
It's basically kind of like the Bermuda Triangle of weirdness. Everything is magnetically drawn towards.
Yeah, odd shit just sort of it gets drawn there.
Yeah.
Which a character that shows up in season 2 exposits upon and theorizes on, but has no clear, defined answers as to why.
Yep. So yeah, season 1 ends with the big confrontation. Gideon having taken the shack, has driven Stan out, and they're crashing at Seuss's place. Who lives with his grandma,
right?
Who is an unbelievably sweet, Hispanic lady.
Yes,
his abuela is just wonderful.
Yes, I move in now.
Isabella, you're great! Smack! Stan runs off. I vacuum my face now.
Yeah, so... like all sorts of weird shit happens. Like government agents show up, and Dipper nearly starts a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
What did I ask you to do? Not summon the undead. What did you do? Summon the undead.
It's a great that episode. It's not related to the whole Gideon thing, but yeah, it's just one of the one-off monsters of the week kind of thing.
It should be noted that the fight with the big confrontation with Gideon at the end of season 1 does involve Fiddleford building Gideon a giant mecha Gideon, which then proceeds to fight the Pine Twins in.
Yeah.
Because it's a giant mecha fight, it's a giant mecha shaped like you. You have to get inside it and use it to crush your enemies. That's how these things work. It's a law of the universe.
I will say that the zombie apocalypse one is probably one of my favorites, just because of how clever they are with it.
Yes,
it's like it's the first time where we see the government agents start to snoop around, which is it's an important part in and of itself. But
something else we should know at the end of season 1, after the fight where they get the shack back, Stan finds out that Gideon had a journal, so he pockets it because Stan's good at sleight of hand. And down inside his secret lair, we find out there's a giant freaking machine, and Stan has the third journal.
Yes, well, he borrows the journal from Dipper because Dipper's been showing it and such, and now with the zombie stuff, because of the zombie stuff, this is the sort of reason why Stan is like willing to accept there's some weird stuff going on. It's very clear he knows this shit, but
well, he comes right out and says, like, of course Gravity Falls is weird. Like, I've been lying to you to keep you safe from it because it's dangerous.
Right.
The only reason
we're having a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. The only reason he lets Dipper keep the book in the end is because up to that point he's generally used it for the right reasons.
Right. And also, Stan had made a copy of it at that point.
Well, that too. But yeah, there's a great bit during the zombie apocalypse one where Zeus gets bitten.
Yes.
Oh.
Except he's still Zeus.
Yes.
Still Zeus.
He's still Zeus, and he's just walking around like, no, dudes, I just want to eat your brains.
Whatever you do, it just makes us more rad.
It's nothing personal, man. I'm just, it's what I do now.
So, your brains. Let's get him in here.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's fully.
Totally he's fully eat your brains. Ooh, detective's on. Yeah, whatever.
Zombie Zeus sits down in front of the TV. He's like, whatever. I love that little take on the whole zombie apocalypse. It's like he gets bitten, but he's still conscious. He's still Zeus. Yes. It's like, okay, whatever.
So yeah, the season 1 ends with Stan with all 3 journals, and there's a page in each one of them that is this weird, sort of complicated, sort of device design, which the 3 journals you link them together and you get the full design of the thing, and you see it's this big thing, the device that Stan has in the basement there that he's working on. He's finally able to move forward with his big plan.
Was the second bedroom, the locked bedroom, was that first season?
That was first season also, yes.
Yep.
That's a big episode.
The big important part of that episode has more to do with the fact that we find an experimental carpet that switches consciousness. The fact that it switches consciousness isn't important. The fact that it's an experiment does. It's labeled experiment 18A or something.
Yeah.
And Stan finds a pair of glasses that look a lot like his, but aren't.
Which he swiftly pockets before anyone else notices.
Right.
Yes.
One other episode we should talk about from season 1 is the county fair episode.
Yes.
Yes, with the time travel.
Yes. Because there's time travel.
There's time travel in this. Yeah.
Yeah, we were introduced to...
It's also the one where Dan Harmon guest stars as the voice of the time traveler.
Yes.
Yes.
Doing his best Morty impression.
Yeah, if you weren't aware, the guys that wrote this and the guys that wrote Rick and Morty are basically best friends.
Yeah, Alex Hirsch and Dan Harmon know each other, and are good friends apparently.
And they see references to one another's shows through
There is
Yeah.
so much Gravity Falls in Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
To the point where people believe that Rick and Morty could potentially be an unofficial sequel to Gravity Falls. Because, obviously, one's not Disney, and Disney don't like that kind of thing. But there are definitely links in the universe. Whether it'll actually will become something that all the theorists are saying, and there's going to be something major later on, probably not. But
I don't think I don't think there will be. I think that having just the occasional reference is fine.
It's just references. So, like, for example, Bill Cipher, his image does show up in Rick and Morty. He is known in the Mortyverse.
Yeah.
They
don't come out and say it, it's just something on the background on the monitor.
Yeah. There's a scene where they're walking through the Citadel of Ricks, if you've never, and there's two Mortys in the background that are wearing Dipper's hat and Mabel's headband.
Yep.
There's a scene in Gravity Falls where Stan loses a set, like he's holding a clipboard with writing on a pen and his mug of coffee in one hand, and they get sucked through a portal. And if you're watching very carefully on an episode of Rick and Morty, those same three items come out of the portal there. So it's like little hints that they've linked each other together, and like you say, they do a lot of crossover voice work for each other.
Yep.
Honestly,
the setup for both shows is big enough that they could totally exist with in each other's universes without ever having to.
I mean,
directly
Rick and Morty
interact.
is basically set in a multiverse universe.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah.
Well, so is we find out later, Gravity Falls.
Right.
Yeah.
I
think they actually do dictate. I think is it Bill that actually states which universe this is.
Right. But
Yes.
at any rate, the county fair.
Yes. Sorry.
We have to talk about this a bit because we're introduced to Blendon Blandon, who's a time traveler.
Who fixes time anomalies. Things that shouldn't have happened.
His job is to fix time anomalies. And there's some lots of time anomalies in this era, and he's trying to figure out where they are. And he's been wandering around the fair and can't find any. He's really confused. Dipper is.
He's not the most competent, unfortunately, isn't Blendon?
No.
He's kind of bad at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He kind of doesn't realize that the reason he can't find the time anomalies is because they haven't happened yet.
Yeah. Basically, what ends up happening is Dipper nicks his time travel device, which is a tape measure. And he and Mabel go do a bunch of time traveling for various reasons.
Largely, Dipper is trying to avert an incident that happens where he accidentally hurts Wendy by fucking up a Carney game, and then an occasional foil, unimportant foil, whose name I suddenly can't remember. Robbie shows up and takes care of her eye and asks her out. She says, "Oh yeah, okay, whatever."
Yeah, we haven't spoken about Robbie, but basically he's one of...
she's one of Wendy's crowd of friends.
Yes. There's a group of, the only teenagers in Gravity Falls, basically. But it's the usual group that hang around, and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not the only teenagers in Gravity Falls, but it's Wendy's... It's Wendy's
crew.
Yeah.
It's Wendy's crew, and Robbie's your stereotypical edgelord, Evo trying too hard guy.
Yes.
So Dipper's using the time travel thing to try to fix that. Meanwhile, Mabel has discovered there's a guessing game where if you guess the weight of a pig, you can win the pig.
Yep, well, 13-pounder.
Does he weigh 13 pounds?
Are you a bitch?
Yeah. This is where she wins her, for the rest of the series, her pet pig, Waddles, who is adorable.
Who is adorable and does, in fact, become important and is briefly, in a side story, elevated to genius intelligence and voiced by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh my god.
And bring me many potatoes. Delicious, delicious potatoes.
But yeah, so basically Dipper and Mabel... Dipper's plan Dipper's plan works once, but it involves Mabel not being there in time to win Waddles. And
right.
Pacifica wins it instead. And this leads to them getting into an argument fight, and they go running off through history with the tape measure thing, causing all sorts of time anomalies all over the place.
Yeah, they invent the high five. They leave a calculator back in prehistoric times. All that sort of stuff.
Which it turns out is the time anomalies Blended's been looking for the entire time.
Right. So, Blendon basically is, Blendon goes and fixes most of the stuff, but, he's eventually confronted by two time cops who come back, whose names are Lolth and Dundgren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's drugged back off to the future and, basically thrown in time jail for completely fucking up.
Yes.
Because this shouldn't have happened. If he hadn't been incompetent, Dipper would not have... If he hadn't been incompetent, Dipper would never have gotten the tape measure.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was incompetent. And tipped his hand to Dipper. Anyways, it's an important episode because Blendon shows up again multiple times.
Yes. Lobnar!
So season 2 advances the story further, basically. We start seeing more of Stan advancing whatever he's working on the device in the basement. Eventually, the government agents show up again.
Yep.
And basically saying, Stan is not who you kids think he is. He's stolen like nuclear waste from a government facility, and he's a bad man.
At this point, we should point out that that Dipper's new obsession is figuring out who the author is.
He started figuring out who the author of the journal. He's sort of been obsessing about this for a while. His obsession about this is what leads to them traveling to this underground bunker where they fight a monster, which is what leads Wendy to finding out that Dipper has a crush on her.
Right.
Because basically it looks like Wendy's dead, and he basically says that he's crazy about her, he loves her and such, and Wendy's actually right behind him.
Because it's a shape-shifting monster.
It's a shapeshifter, voiced by
It's a shapeshifter. The shapeshifter totally goes all John Carpenter's The Thing several times, because for kids.
So, yeah, basically it's John Carpenter's The Thing, voiced by the Joker.
Yes, because Mark Hamill is the voice of The Thing.
Yep. And, there's a big Wendy versus Wendy fight, and Dipper has to choose which one is the correct one, and Wendy comes up with a really clever way to tell him that she's the right one. And this is
and then
where
Dipper buries an axe in the chest of the imposter.
Right. And they throw it back into cryogenic suspension. Anyways, this is the bit where Wendy, basically lets Dipper down.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Does it brilliantly, and it's a wonderful scene. But yeah, so the government agents show up. The kids basically refuse to believe that, Stan is... Yeah, Stan's a crook, but he's not evil.
Right.
He wouldn't do that. And they eventually find the security tapes and look it over and find out that
he totally stole hot Belgian waffles. Wait, the kids aren't around. I can swear for real.
And so, the government, this is after they've arrested Stan. I forget exactly why they decide to they go chasing after him for some reason. I forget exactly why. Oh, I remember why, because they want answers from Stan.
Yes.
Right. Because they figured out that Stan knows what's going on, but won't talk about it. And yeah. Well, they've got.
Yeah.
They know he stole highly regulated atomic waste, so it's good enough. It's good enough reason to take him in for questioning.
So, but and by the way, during all this period, McGucket started. So we find out why McGucket's crazy.
Yep.
He's erased his memory a whole bunch of times because he's seen something that was really awful, and wanted to forget it. And it drove him mad. But he eventually starts getting his memory back, and they find a laptop that used to belong to him.
Right.
And he...
They spend some time like trying to figure out who it belongs to because it just says property of F. Eventually, McGuck ends up with it and fixed it up enough to like get the last log on it, which it turns out is a video of him going, "Yeah, I have seen some shit. I think I'd like to forget that now."
No, that was when they went over his memory tape.
Right.
No, the computer has a countdown to something bad happening.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which McGuckin is like, yeah, that's going to be the end of everything. It could end the world. And, it's because Stan's turned on the machine.
Yep.
And it starts causing
gravitational
gravity
anomalies. Like, gravity just turns off sometimes.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah.
And Stan is like, arrested by the feds, and he's got to get back to the machine when it fully activates. He's got to be there.
He's got to be there.
Got to be there.
There's some great little scenes during that, though, with Stan just basically showing how much of a con man he is. He's like, he breaks out. The first thing he does is goes over to a cabbie, throws him $100, say, "Keep driving that way, especially when the police start chasing you," and runs the opposite direction.
Yep.
Yeah, because
he pulls a couple bits, like a reference to The Unusual Suspects when he's in the questioning room, and he starts spinning a tail at his stuff he sees around him, and he goes, "Nah, I'm just fucking with."
But yeah, he busts out during one of the gravity anomalies, which he's timing.
Yep.
And it's
That's
great
something
little
we
action
should note.
sequence.
Stan's 70-something years old, goes bare knuckle against zombies, fights a pterodactyl. He's incredibly spry and good at violence.
He likes punching things.
He's
has a
very
very-
good at violence.
He has a very impressive list of things he has punched.
Yes. So he busts. It's a wonderful action sequence where he busts his way out. And this is no gravity fight with him and the federal agents, which is just really well animated. And so he eventually gets back to the shack. The kids have found their way downstairs after having basically snuck by Seuss, who's Stan ordered to guard the vending machine with his life.
Right.
Yeah, they managed to sneak around him enough just to push the buttons on the machine, and as soon as the door opens, Zeus is like, "Ooh."
Well, Seuss is like refusing to believe anything they're saying about Stan because they're convinced Stan's a bad guy at this point.
Yeah,
and Seuss is like, "No, he's not." And the thing opens. He would never keep secrets from me. Thing opens. He's like,
Okay
yeah.
then.
So they go downstairs. They see the journals, and all three of them, and Dipper
Laid out to show this. Yeah.
Dipper at this point is like, okay, Stan he's been lying to us the whole time.
Well, they also find the collection of fake IDs and
Right.
and the newspaper clippings showing that local drifter dies in car crash type of thing.
Yep. So they don't know who he is anymore. And Dipper, the journals are the final straw for Dipper. And they find the way to deactivate the machine because they're remembering that Fiddleford told them that it could end the world. And Stan comes rushing back in and sees what's going on, and he's pleading with them not to turn off the machine. And it's not. And he's like, "Seriously, kids, it's not what you think it is. I know I've been lying, but it's not that bad. Please trust me." And it's not even like, and it's very clear that he's not in shyster mode. He is begging from the heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dipper is not seeing it because he's just had it.
Yeah, Dipper is completely fed up. But Mabel's ever the most emotionally intelligent of the two.
But
sees what's happening.
She's,
But she's also incredibly conflicted and hurt by the clear and obvious lies that Stan's levied against them, and honestly doesn't know who the fuck he is.
But she eventually sides with him and lets the machine activate because weird shit's happened, and it turns out it's a portal, and a figure steps out of the portal, a figure that looks a lot like Stan,
with 6 fingers.
It's his brother.
Immediately
His
punched
twin brother.
So yeah, for most of the show, Stan's been referred to as just Stan, but
Or
every now and then
Stanford.
You hear his full name Stanford. Except that's not his full name. His full name is Stanley. His brother is Stanford. He's taken up his brother's identity for a lot of reasons. Mostly to keep a roof over his head.
Yeah, which is why, like you say, when they found the local drifter, the name on the article is Stanley Pines.
Yeah.
Basically, Stan's faked his own death and taking over his brother's.
Right.
Keeping it appearance.
His brother's, taking his brother's place. Because, well, the whole reason Stanley was in Gravity Falls 30 years ago was because his brother had been researching the weirdness of Gravity Falls. His brother's a genius and whatnot, and had built a giant portal. And Stan's like, okay, so what's going on? Show me your eyes! You can see my eyes! So they fight because in their past we find out that they had been very close, similar to Dipper and Mabel. But at one point, Stanley fucks up Stanford's... later goes by Ford. Stanford's big chance to get into Caltech.
Yeah.
And... yeah,
by accident.
By accident. Entirely by accident.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty fucking suspicious.
It's literally to the point where, like, he's invented perpetual motion.
Yeah.
And Stanley breaks it by accident.
Yeah.
And
He sort of covers it up and gets the fuck out, because that's what Stanley does.
Yeah. But it's basically very much a yin and yang. They are literally the mirror images of Dipper and Dipper and Mabel.
Right.
One's all brains, one's all heart, to a degree. And yeah, he doesn't understand what he's done or why he's broken it. He's just kind of upset that his brother's going to be leaving him and going off to this posh school where he can't follow because he can barely handle high school. He just wants to, sail off with his brother and
like they talked about like sailing off in this ship they'd found to go off and for adventure and treasure hunting and shit.
Yeah.
And
Son of war.
And Stanford is a genius and has fallen in love with science. And just can't, like he literally.
We noted that when you spell the kind of science Stanford's fallen in love with, it's all caps with exclamation points.
Yes. Science. He's really into the weird.
To properly pronounce it, you need to hold your fist up into the air.
I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always been fascinated by the supernatural and the paranormal and the weird shit, which is why he goes to Gravity Falls.
But in the meantime, unfortunately, Stanley this was literally
Stanley gets kicked out by their parents, but
this was literally their family's shot at the big time. Parents were literally saying, "Our son's going to be a genius. We're going to mooch off him."
Right.
And Stanley costs them that.
So in a fit of pique, his dad kicks him out.
And
because Stanley is stubborn as he is cunning, fucks off and says, "Fine, I'll get rich, and that'll show you." And
everything that he's learned and the con man has become because he had to survive.
Right.
Yeah. Also, his dad's a jerk.
Yeah, his dad's a right prick.
And here's the other reason we know why Stan can see through Gideon so well. His mom was a telephone psychic.
Yep.
Yes.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
It really is.
And yes, Duani in the chat just reminded me that is a brilliant. Just as we're getting to this part where they explain the whole backstory to it, Zeus comes out with a fucking cracking line. It's basically on the lines of, "Well, this story better line up with my fan fiction. I'm going to be really mad." They take so many little pot shots that they're at the fan base.
It's great.
It is.
It's great.
But it's never mean-spirited.
No.
There's one bit later on where they're sitting down, and it's the choice between watching Duck-tective, versus playing Dungeons and Dragons, essentially.
Right.
And they make a comment about it's like, wow, it's like an inner conflict between my aging child, aging man-child self, and my unappreciated nerd. I'm just like, oh, you son of a bitch! You hit me with both fists.
Seriously, Detective had a twin the whole time. It came out of nowhere. Totally called it.
Yeah, I called that in season 1.
So good.
Yeah, they poke fun at themselves and their fans so much.
But yeah, so after being apart for like 10 years, finally Ford calls
30
Stan for help.
years.
So no.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
okay.
the backstory. They've been
Okay.
apart for 10 years, and Ford finally calls Stan for help. And Ford basically gives him one of the journals, because he's written everything down about the journals, to take it far away and just get rid and hide it somewhere, as far away from here as possible. And he's hidden the other 2 journals.
Yeah, and Stan's understandably upset that basically what's happened is Ford's called him for what he thought was going to be a reconciliation to tell him to fuck off with and never come back.
Mm.
And it's like, you didn't have to call me out here just for that. Fuck you. Screw you, Ford.
And they get into a fight.
Right, because Stan goes, fine, you know what? I'm not going to bother taking the journal anywhere. I'm just going to burn it right here. And
He's
Ford
not wrong.
can't
handle
Ford,
that.
yeah, Ford can't handle watching all his research go up in smoke. So they
Despite
get in the
that,
fight.
that's probably the right move.
Yes.
It's that
It's
scientific
exactly the right
ego. It's that scientific ego. It's like, he knows he probably knows it's the right thing, but that's his work.
Exactly.
You know.
Like, I totally understand that impulse. It's like, yes, I want it to go away, but I don't want it to be destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's entirely understandable and in character, and it's so well done.
Yes.
Yeah. And they get in a fight, and it ends up with Ford being sucked in the portal by accident.
Yep.
And the portal shutting down, Stan being unable to get him back, and Stan is just crushed by this because that's not what he wanted, not even a little bit. He wanted his brother back.
Wanted his brother back is what he wanted. And he thought he finally would get to have his brother back. Except, Ford's has the emotional intelligence of a dead rock.
Yeah. So, Ford comes out and comes out of the portal in real time and is livid with Stan for reactivating the portal. Livid.
Yeah. Because the portal represents a tremendous danger.
Right.
And Stan's like, but I rescued you. I brought you home. Can't you just... seriously, what do I have to do? I spent 30 years bringing you home.
Again, Stan's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also not a smart man. That's established. Yet he's managed to recreate the portal.
No, Stan's smart. Like I said, he's just a different kind of smart. He's all low cunning and street smart. Ford's all
we have seen that he's fairly
all
good with
cerebral stuff.
Yeah, he's fairly good with engineering and stuff as well. Because
Well, he needs to build those attractions.
well, no, it's him and his brother were building a boat.
Yeah,
he knows his way
he's
around
handy.
the hammer.
The thing is, he's Ford is an intellectual,
Yes.
and Stan very much isn't.
No, but he is a practical.
Yeah.
At any rate,
So yeah, they both have valid concerns. Like, I told you this portal represented tremendous danger to the world. How dare you put everything at risk just for me? I just spent 30 years bringing you back from the fucking dead. I just spent the vast majority of my life trying to save you. And they're both understandably very upset with one another.
yes. And then things roll on from there, and we find out more and more about we find little bits about Ford, and Ford takes a real liking to Dipper, partially because of the Dungeons and Dragons thing.
Yeah.
Dungeons, and more dungeons. Is the game actually.
Turns out Dipper's a fan, and of course Ford's a nerd. So
Ford was a fan of the game too in its earlier editions.
Yep.
Yes.
more terrible editions, as we've established.
No, he missed the bad edition.
That's true.
He was
That
gone
was
before
in
the
the
90s.
He missed Second Ed. He's okay.
He was gone before the 90s, and Dipper wasn't born yet, so they all avoided it.
Oh my god. So at any rate, we eventually find out that part of the reason that, so part of the reason that Fiddleford bugged out is
He took
Stan's
a
Muse
brief
during
trip
all
through the
of
portal.
this.
He took a second long brief through the portal.
But specifically, not just through the portal, he specifically went to Bill's world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Stan's Muse was Bill's cipher.
Yeah.
Stan stumbled across ancient carvings about Bill and, discovered Bill, and Bill conned him, played up to his intellectual ego.
Played up to his ego, stroked it. It basically knew exactly what buttons and what to push and where to get the hooks in, because he's a chaos god.
Yep. And and when eventually Ford figures it out, and that's so one of the things that one of the traits that you notice way back when early on when Bill possessed Dipper, is his eyes become replaced with Bill's eyes, which have a vertical sort of cat eye slit.
Vertical
Which
pupils.
goes back to the whole let me see your eyes line.
Yep.
And Ford's had a metal plate installed in his head, so Bill can't get into his head. Because apparently
Ford-
that works.
Ford apparently also knows some shady people, or at
Yes.
least did. Because yeah.
So the only way that Bill could get in his head is if he made a deal with him and shook his hand.
Yep.
And this all leads to Bill trying to manipulate things so that he's basically trying to manipulate things so the remnants of the portal will activate and allow him to open a portal to his home dimension. This is what
Yes.
This is Bill's plan.
Yeah.
And Bill succeeds.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, now we're deliberately skipping over a lot here. There is
Yes.
a lot we haven't talked about, because this is a show that's worth discovering for yourself.
Yes, and I don't want to. A, we don't want to spoil it, and B, there's a lot, and we don't want to go on forever.
No. But the whole build-up, the core to it is that, yes, Bill gains access to this dimension. The third dimension.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned earlier, he was a dream demon, living in the dreamscape, which was the only way that he could communicate cross-dimensionally. Now, he's actually physically into this dimension with a body of his own.
Yep. And brings his buddies from his dimension of horrors.
Yes. Because Bill's been banished to basically a dungeon dimension.
Yep.
Like he fucked up his own home universe, tried to start doing it to other ones, and we'll just say the Council of Ricks put the smack down on him.
It's possible.
It's as likely
We're
as
never
any.
told what actually banished him to the dungeon dimension, but something did.
Yeah, there is hinted that there are a number of powerful beings that control different elements. I mean, we meet Time Baby.
We meet Time Baby, who is a giant baby that controls time.
Yeah.
With the deepest voice.
Yeah, Bill mentions that once Time Baby is out of the way, he will control space, time, and matter. So I'm guessing there are other, Celestials essentially out there that control different things.
So yeah, Bill takes over Gravity Falls, and the Weird Mageddon starts.
Weird Mageddon. The only time they fuck with the theme tune.
And it's brilliant.
Yes.
Because the opening gets a distorted, warped, just odd sort of.
Yeah, they put it through. Yeah, I really actually like that alternate opening because it's unnerving.
It's really unnerving, and all the stuff with our heroes is replaced with Bill and his cronies.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And Bill starts his reign of terror over Gravity Falls.
And it's literally a reign of terror. A reign
It
of
is literally
surreal, batshit insane terror.
Yeah, he drops like bubbles of pure chaos so that anybody going into them just gets driven mad. There's a great scene where King Pacifica's dad,
Yes.
because he's obviously the rich asshole, and we find out just how much of an asshole he's literally like, oh my god, don't touch the common folk, that
Yes.
kind of rich asshole.
As an
And
aside,
he's like, well,
Pacifica's dad is voiced by Nate Fillion.
yes. But
Having way too much fun.
Yes.
As a little bit, he walks up and goes, well, as the local capitalist, I'd like to welcome our demonic overlords. Perhaps I could be, I don't know, one of your horsemen of the apocalypse? And Bill's like, well, that's a cool idea. How about I just shuffle all the functions of all the orifices on your face? Clicks his fingers, and like his eyes appear out of his nose becomes his ears becomes his eyes.
Yeah, everything literally gets shuffled.
It's just like, it is
For kids.
It's horrific.
And, Mabel's been imprisoned in a bubble.
With the eye bats flying around, turning everyone to stone.
Yeah,
And then
Mabel's
dumping
been
him into
imprisoned in a
chair.
bubble. Because she's the one that actually fucks up and lets Bill in. But we're not going to spoil how.
Yep. It is entirely understandable and believable and in character, and it's heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah, there's no plot fairy at all in this show.
None.
No.
Oh my god. So at any rate, yeah. So Dipper is on his own because Ford's been turned to gold. He does no idea where Stan is or anybody. And eventually he comes across Wendy,
Yeah.
who's holed up in the mall.
Yes.
It's
They
actually
hold
really-
up in
it's a
the
really-
mall all Day of the Dead style.
Yeah,
it's kind of awesome.
it's a sweet
With a
reunion too
crossbow.
because he sees Wendy. She catches him in a trap. She lets him down. They have a big reunion hug because again they're best friends.
Yeah, they're best
it's a-
friends.
It's a great line. She's like hiding in a bush, and Dipper's like, "Oh my god, Wendy, he turned you into a plant." He's like, "No, dude, it's camouflage." My dad takes us camping on survival trips every Christmas. Instead of Christmas.
Yes.
It's like we learned this shit from like 6 years old.
Wendy's dad is a little intense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's one of those recurring background characters that I adore.
Oh yeah,
He's just a giant pile of testosterone.
he's hilarious. But yeah, so they go off to rescue. Mabel.
Yep.
Um,
Because basically they determined, okay, I've beaten Bill before, but I need Mabel there. Mabel's the other half of the equation. We need to get her.
and Wendy points out that literally, because Dipper's having crisis consciousness, he's like, "There's no way I can beat Bill." And Wendy points out, "Look, maybe not on your own, but with you and Mabel together, I have never seen the two of you be stopped when you're working together.
Mm.
You two are incredible together." And Dipper's like, "Yeah, let's just go save Mabel." And so they go off to steal a car. Turns out Gideon's been made sheriff, and cue a Mad
Sheriff.
Max chase scene.
Yes.
No. Before that.
Well, yeah, the scenes of Gideon in jail are hilarious.
Well, that's cool. Again, some of the lines that come out, it's like Gideon's complaining to his dad, "Daddy, I don't like it here. I've been here 6 months, and my roommate's already claimed my pillow as his wife."
Because he got sent to adult jail.
Yes.
Yes.
Or the bit where they briefly show them having a little art class. It's like, hey, this is good. This is very nice. Gideon, does this look like someone who's destined to re-enter society? Gideon's unappreciated in his time. Oh, thanks, Ghost Eyes. You're sweet.
Because he's got all the crooks, hard ass crooks wrapped around his finger.
Yes, and this is like as cool as Wendy was. This bit just fucking elevates her because she is like the hero, like the ride. So it's like they go to steal the cards because they need to get over to the bubble, and Gideon is there waiting, and he's got all his crooks, and this big guy, Ghost Eyes, has her held by, the scruff of her neck.
Right, and Gideon dangles
Gideon's
the key.
Yeah.
The key
And
to the
Wendy's basically like, oh, okay, so now you just really made the biggest mistake. And Gideon's like, well, why? Because once I break this guy, this big jackass's arm, I'm going to come over there and wear you like a fucking shoe.
What makes you think you could do that? Because I'm a fucking corduroy.
Does exactly that. Backflips over the guy's head, cracks his arm, and grabs the key off him, and then punts Gideon over the fucking fence.
Gideon lives on this wonderful piggy squeal. It's great.
Yeah. Before getting in the car and just Mad Maxing it, she's the driver. It's like fucking
The
yes.
chase scene's great. Jennifer's like, have you actually learned how to drive? Nope.
There's a great bit when they go through madness bubbles. So it turns out the madness bubbles is just like reality. They drive you mad by fucking reality. And like they go through like different animation styles, and briefly it's the voice actors in costume.
Yes. As I was commenting, it's a scene directly out of Red Dwarf.
Yes.
The reality pockets, but so fucking good.
Oh my god. So the prison Mabel's in is insidious.
It's Bill showing what Bill does.
Because they bust in expecting this horror terror dimension, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Too nice.
It's what you'd imagine Mabel's version of Paradise would be.
Yep.
It would be garish, bright neon colors, constant 80s music, and Dream Boys.
And
also stuffed animals, and it's a sugar-fueled acid trip.
Yeah, and Mabel's got complete control over it.
Yep.
Why would she want to leave? Reality sucks.
And here's the scary thing. That reality kind of knows what everyone inside it wants and tries to give it to them.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually a really heartbreaking scene where they're trying to convince people to leave, and Wendy's already been tempted to go fuck off, and Zeus is like, listen, I understand what you're trying to do, dudes, but we gotta go. We gotta save the universe. And then the door opens, and it's both hilarious and sad because it's not Zeus's dad, but who he imagined his dad was, which was a Mexican wrestler with the handlebar mustache from a bottle of hot sauce.
Yeah, we get an episode earlier on where basically Zeus doesn't really know his dad. He doesn't know his dad. His dad bombed out years ago, to the point where his grand's like, she's trying to comfort him. And it's like, oh, he'll show up for your birthday next year, and then closes the door and walks away. And if he does show up, I'll break his fucking neck.
Yeah.
Because his dad has broken Zeus's heart again.
Yeah.
He's literally got a shoebox full of postcards saying, "Oh, hi, Sport. I can't make it this year. I'll see you next year."
Yeah.
That's all he gets. So Zeus doesn't know what his dad looks like or who he is. So it's just this idea of a father figure. That is hilarious, that is what he's thought up for.
Yeah.
But crushing at the same time.
And the thing is, Zeus goes off saying, I know it's not real, but I've got a chance to actually play catch with my dad.
Yeah.
I can't turn this down, Dipper. And this leaves Dipper owning off for his own, and Wendy comes up to him. And she starts talking. They start talking about they start talking, doing their usual sort of Wendy Dipper banter, and then she starts talking about this is in this reality. We've got control over everything. Mabel could make you my age, and we could actually be together. Which is when Dipper realizes that it's not Wendy.
Yeah. Because I've already been down this road. I know. Holy shit! You vile, evil bastard, Bill.
Yes. But it's like you could see Dipper being really tempted by it, then going, "Wait, no."
Yeah. No, this is too creepy even for a 12-year-old. No.
But it's also it's so like the lead up to it is very windy, and then it becomes very not windy.
Yes. You sort of cross in that sort of weird, uncanny valley.
Yeah, and again, it's sad again because you can see Dipper wanting this to be true, but knowing it's not, and
Yeah.
it and just
And to Dipper's credit, he's instantly repulsed by the idea of it.
yes. Well, there's a wonderful bit where Bill's talking about the prison, and it's the brilliance of it is it takes someone with the will of titanium to break out of there,
Right.
which is what Dipper has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's Stan's nephew, and Stan's another one I could imagine shrugging
the
that
thing is,
off.
he is in a lot of ways sort of a blending of the best parts of Stan and Ford.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mabel the same way, just in the opposite direction.
Exactly.
They're a great synthesis of the two.
Yep, both of them. It's really neat. So they bust Mabel out eventually, and they go off to confront Bill. Well, actually, they eventually head back to the shack.
Right, because they need some place to lay low and figure out what the hell's going on.
And where they find Stan and the other survivors.
Yes.
Including Multi-Bear!
Multi-Bear.
Voiced by Alfred Molina.
Multi-Bear was a throwaway character from the early episodes of Season 1, who comes back and is awesome.
The gnomes are there, Multi-Bear's there.
One of the Manitors is there.
The Manitors are there. And like you say, fucking Multi-Bear voiced by fucking Alfred Molina.
Yes!
Oh, God. Some of the guest spot voice acting is amazing.
Yes.
Friggin'... Oh, not Larry David.
Louis C.K. is one of the monsters.
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. shows up as one of the monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, the severed head that lives inside the friggin' vents.
It's
Larry King, that's
Larry,
it.
Larry King voices his own wax head, as did Coolio.
Yes.
As did Coolio, yeah. Like you say, Neil deGrasse Tyson plays a super intelligent pig.
At any rate, and Fiddleford's there, and they come up. They come up, and they've part of the reason that this shack's safe is because Ford actually came up with a plan to make the shack immune to Bill,
which involved getting hair from unicorns, which was a whole
hilarious
thing.
episode. But anyways,
great episode.
So Fiddleford turns the shack into a mech
because of course it does.
No, I've watched a lot of anime, but you got any gun swords? Because I've watched a lot of anime, and you're going to need some gun swords.
Yes.
Anime. We have much to teach you.
You get a great montage. You get a great montage between basically there's they're
all working together to create the giant
breaking
mech.
things down, and then halfway through you just see Seuss showing Fiddleford basically a knockoff Evangelion.
Yes.
So their whole plan for this is to go rescue Ford.
Yes, because he lets Dipper know that, yes, I know there is one other way to defeat Bill. I know how to do it, and then he gets snatched up by Bill.
Right. And Bill turns him into gold.
Right.
So
Why did the old man do this? Do this? Because I need a new back scratcher.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Bill basically is planning on taking the whole Armageddon worldwide, and turns out Gravity Falls is containing it somehow. And he's like, God damn it, this is something I didn't anticipate. Oh, fuck, I bet Ford knows what this is. Shit. Right, I'm going to have to convince Ford to tell me. And Ford's like, no, I'm not telling you.
Here's the thing. The first thing Ford goes is, wait, you mean the weirdness factor? Yeah, I figured out the equation for that ages ago. So you're going to tell me? No.
No.
Because Ford can't resist letting loose that he knows something Bill can't.
Right.
Yes.
Which pisses Bill off as an aside.
Yes.
And Bill basically trying to make a deal, and like, yeah, you could be one of us. You could be like a god, and trying to play up to his ego again. And Ford has been down this road already. And it's like,
no, I already seen this.
no, Bill, fuck you. So at any rate, the kids actually do. There's a big, epic fight between Bill's monsters and
and the mech. Yes, and it's great.
With a great sort of guitar rock version of the theme song playing.
Yes. Fucking love that.
And the Shack mech beats the crap out of Bill's minions to the point Bill's like, "Fine, if I have to do it myself."
You need
Comes
something
right
done
down.
right, do it yourself.
Comes out, grows his fist to the size of a fucking, a mountain, and smashes it down on the Shack.
And
To which there's nothing happens because of the magic protection. He's like, wait, what? Oh, shit.
Oh, the eye! Really? Do you know how long it takes to regenerate one of
Yes,
those?
because just to let you know, the Shack's entire left arm is basically a T-Rex. Trapped
Yes,
in,
a T-Rex preserved
trapped
in
in
amber.
amber. Its body's still trapped in amber, but the head is the hand. So he just reaches out, bites from Bill's eye, and pulls it out.
It's got a Loch Ness monster neck, scorpion tail.
Tail.
It's amazing.
There's-
Robo
there's a-
Loch Ness monster robot.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a pseudo, a faux Street Fighter character throwing fireballs from the roof.
Yep. It was a character that showed up earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as an aside,
Rumble McSkirmish has become Humble McSkirmish.
The boy band clones are downstairs powering it.
Yep.
as an aside, everything we've mentioned has come up before in the show.
Yes.
Every single thing. I mean, the only one. Actually, no. There's two characters we haven't mentioned at all. Actually,
Oh,
that's
Grenda
Mabel's-
and Candy.
Grenda and Candy.
Mabel's friends, yes.
Yes, and they're involved in this as well, and they are fantastic.
I
Yeah.
love Grenda and Candy as an aside.
Oh, I do. They're great. They're two of the best side characters in the show.
Yes.
They're basically they're two girls that Mabel meets at about the same time that she meets Pacifica, and the three of them immediately become friends.
Yes.
And Grenda is this big, boisterous, deep-voiced girl who's
I can imagine her growing up into a doctor girlfriend.
kinda with like no inside voice switch.
No.
No inside voice, no inner monologue. Whatever pops into her head, she just shouts at the top of her lungs. She's great.
And she enjoys punching things
Yep, she gets along pretty well with Stan.
and
Yes.
breaking rocks over her head.
Yes.
She does that once or twice.
And Candy is this adorably sweet Asian girl. I don't know where she's supposed to be from.
But she's all shy and inner quiet, and the exact opposite of Grenda.
Yep.
Except for on the rare occasion where Candy gets some power, because she's like, "Death to my enemies!"
Yes.
Yeah, Ford built a laser gun for her.
Because why not?
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, so Grenda got a jetpack. I'm gonna rule the skies.
No, she's not even here. With this, you can explore the skies. Notes to that. I'm gonna go look at boys to the ceiling. Whoosh.
I love Grenda. I love them both. Like I adore both of them. They're wonderful characters. But yeah, so they bust their way in, free Ford, and start up their plan. Ford starts up the ritual to banish Bill. Actually, the prison dimension thing was actually the Ford found that the ritual, the thing for the ritual, when he found the carvings that depicted Bill originally. So it might be hinted that people in Gravity Falls were some like ancient like the Indians in Gravity Falls might have been who banished Bill.
That could be.
We don't know.
We
But
don't
the
know.
ritual was there in Gravity Falls. And it's this neat little bit where they've got to get there are a bunch of symbols around it that all correspond to a bunch of individual characters.
Yes. Sometimes seemingly at random, in like a spooky way. Like there's a broken heart that Robbie wears all the time on his hoodie. It's like that's weird.
Yeah.
Pacifica ends up with a slot because she happens to be wearing an alpaca sweater.
With an alpaca, like an alpaca sort of embroidered into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's with that's Mabel's thing. She knits sweaters all the time.
She's
And in
always
fact,
got a new sweater with something
If you're,
weird on.
if you're aware, a lot of the designs she wears on the sweaters are actually clues to what's going on.
Yep.
And in this case, it's a case of Pacifica was the only one that wouldn't accept the sweater because it's from Mabel.
Right.
But it got to the point where she was so cold, it's like, look, just take it. She's like, okay, fine, I'll accept it, I'm not happy about it, but I'll accept it.
Yeah.
But it happened to have an alpaca on the front, which matched up with the prophecy.
Right, and
Right.
one other thing about Pacifica, she never really becomes comfortable with Mabel, but it's very clear she's actually become sort of fairly cool with Dipper.
Yes.
Basically, after Dipper like saved her from paranormal hell and called her on enough of her bullshit.
But at the same time, pointed out to her that she didn't have to be like her parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because,
But like, there's nothing in this show that is random.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everything is like, for example, like you say, the Zodiac sort of thing. The emblem on Stan's hat.
Yep.
That's
Ends up
part
being one of
Zodiac.
the Zodiac.
The question mark on Zeus's shirt. It's not just about the Mystery Shack. It's part of the Zodiac.
Yep.
Mabel's
the shooting
shooting
star that sometimes shows up on Mabel's sweater ends up
it's
being
the
part
most
of the
common
Zodiac.
thing you see in Mabel's sweater.
Yeah.
And
the-
most interestingly, first time Bill ever sees Mabel, he calls her shooting star. She is
Yep.
not wearing a shooting star sweater.
Right.
Yes.
Took me a second watching to catch that, by the way.
But again, Bill, and similarly, Bill always refers to Dipper as Pine Tree.
Right, which is his Zodiac symbol, in the anti-Bill Zodiac.
So,
And so they're about to get the ritual going, but Stan can't do it.
Yeah, he can't do it because it requires that he stand next to his brother and hold his hand as part of the to complete the circuit. Because Ford's got really has nothing but disdain for Stan. And Stan's pride and resentment just won't let him be there.
And he basically says, "Look, I will shake your hand if you apologize to me. You know, it's just say thank me for saving you. Just say
That's
thank
all
you
I want.
once."
That's all I need.
And Ford eventually does, but then starts turning it on Stan.
Yeah,
well, yeah, it's like he says, "Okay,
grammar
thank
Stanley.
you."
It's a thing.
Yeah, and Stan says something along the line. He says something weird. It's the weird way he phrases it. But it's like
It's not even that weird. It's just an accepted
It's like-
colloquialism that
yeah.
happens to be grammatically incorrect.
yeah, it's like that weren't so hard, was it? And he goes,
Yeah.
wasn't. Grammar, Stanley. Oh, you son of a bitch!
Which means that the ritual has been delayed long enough for Bill to get back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having defeated the mech. Because Bill eventually figures out the legs have to stick out of the field.
Yes, that's a great little line for Bill. It's like he's getting stomped on by the thing, and he's grabbing hold of the foot. He's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I can grab the foot." Oh, hey Achilles, nice work on the heel.
Yes.
Nice. I like it.
Bill is so great.
Bill is
At any rate-
amazing.
So, you know, most of the Zodiac, except for the Pines, the Pines family, he turns them into tapestries because Bill's awful.
Because Bill's a bastard.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to fuck with the Pines family.
Yeah.
Or both his bane and his best way to get out of Gravity Falls. Because now he's got 3 people Ford cares about to torture in front of Ford.
Right, so he imprisons Ford and Stanley. And then Dipper and Mabel start taunting him to draw him away from the two of them.
Well, no, he imprisons Dipper and Mabel first,
Right.
Right.
and they tries to get Ford to reveal the secrets, and Mabel and Dipper start taunting him. He comes over and starts mouthing off, to which Mabel immediately sprays him in the face with fucking spray paint.
Yeah. Right
In the eye.
Right in the eye! I just regrew that!
Why is it always the eye? And then again, another callback to an earlier episode. They've got this flashlight that can alter the size of things. So they alter the size of the cage, slip through, and make a break. And Bill's like, "You know
Alright,
what?
that's it.
Screw
Fuck
it.
this."
You two stay here, imprisons the brothers." And says, "You know what? I've got a couple of kids I need to turn into corpses." It's like,
And then turns into an eldritch, a geodesic eldritch monstrosity.
yes.
I go chasing off after them. At which point, you know, Stan and Ford basically start talking about what the hell they can do. Because they gotta save the kids.
And
The
no
one thing
small
they
amount
can
of
agree
resentment that the fact that they both fucked up bad right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they both know it. And the one thing they agree on is there's got to be a way to save the kids. They've got to save
Yep.
the kids.
Yeah.
Because the one thing they agree on is they both love the kids. Like even like you know, while Ford has a soft spot for Mabel for Dipper, Mabel worms her way into his heart also because it's fucking Mabel.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's hard not to like Mabel, despite
He's-
the fact
he-
she can be a little selfish at times. But a lot selfish sometimes.
Yeah.
But
He's the one that comes out with that line that I mentioned earlier about her making friends with a pizza guy in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 minutes or less. It's like, she's incredible.
And so, Ford basically explained, Ford basically explains to Stan, it's like, Ford, basically he's like, I have to take the deal to save the kids. And he basically, Stan's like,
that's like, he's not going to keep the deal. I know it. I know that kind of guy. He's not going to keep the deal. He'd kill the kids, kill us all as soon as he has the option. Well, what other option do we have? Well, don't you have a gadget? Well, if it weren't for the plate in my head, we could erase him out of my brain, but I've got a plate in my head because he's got a memory gun.
Right.
The memory gun shows up earlier in the season.
Yeah,
don't worry.
of course it does, because everything, that's how they do it. And so eventually Bill comes back, and because he's caught the two of them, he's going to kill the kids in front of the two of them. And Ford says he surrenders. And Stan's like, no, don't do it. And he offers the hand for a handshake. And Bill's like, yes, I'm in the mind. Oh, wow, it's white and tranquil. Wow, what an ordered mind. Great. Opens the door, and it's Stan.
It's Stan sitting in his favorite chair in the Mystery Shack.
In his underwear.
Yeah, in his underwear. Hey, asshole.
And proceeds to tear Bill, basically point out how Bill fucked up.
Yeah, it's like, yep, no one can tell us apart if we just change clothes. Do a pretty good impression of my brother, don't you think? Thought I got his mannerisms down really well.
And Bill's like, what? No.
So Bill's like, fine, I'll just leave. Nope, you're in here now. You're stuck.
Yep. That's a memory gun going off. This whole place is burning down, and you're going with it.
But you'll go too. Yeah, I'm 70. I've had a good run.
Yeah.
And if I can go out taking you down,
yeah,
that'll make up for all the crappy shit I've done.
Yeah, he's got some great lines. It's like, Bill's like, you're going to destroy yourself too. He's like, I wasn't really using this space anyway. And Bill's like panicking, running around, and Stan's just mans up behind him. He's like, yo, you, turn around. Face me when I'm talking to you. And straight up bitched him down. He says, you made one mistake. You messed with my family.
Mm.
And that's when it all just burns up, and it's like, fucking yes.
And so,
went out like a fucking boss.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Stan's memory is gone. Because they've erased who
he's
he is.
brain wiped.
He's no memories at all.
Yeah, the memory gun is very specific, so that it's like you can literally type in something on the dial and it will erase every memory of that thing. We saw it later on. It's like one of the side characters accidentally sees the gnomes, and she's just going around screaming about little men, so they erase little men from her mind.
Right, but the thing is, Bill could hide in other places in the mind, so they erase Stanley Pines.
Yes.
So he can still talk. He can still walk. He can still function, but he has no memory of who he was or who anyone else was or anything that was connected to Stanley Pines.
Yeah.
And poor Mabel.
Yeah, Mabel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all of them are broken. Like, Ford is broken up by this. Dipper is, but Mabel is just
Mabel just refuses to accept this as a possibility. Like, total denial. And so she, does the whole, pull out the scrapbook and tries to show him, remind him of his memories and all the other shit. And he's like, sorry, I don't know what any of this is. Waddle, you stop trying to eat my ear. Because Waddles is sitting there trying to eat Stan's ear. And then they're like, wait a minute. How the fuck would he know who Waddles is?
Yeah, Ford is like, wait, it's working. Keep going. And so they eventually get Stan his memory back.
Now, and I mentioned this when we watched it, I kind of had a problem with this. Only because, especially for it to happen so quickly after the victory, it kind of cheapens the sacrifice.
I agree entirely, but
it needed to happen though.
That's the thing.
Two things though. Leaving him brainwiped leaves too many character arc threads unresolved.
Yep.
And two, this is a kids show.
It is, and Stan deserved the final episode. It deserved the goodbye and the happy ending.
Yeah.
But
because everyone eventually gets what they want. Stan eventually gets what he wants, which is his brother back. They go fuck off around the world fighting monsters, learning shit.
Yeah, they do both. They basically go off hunting the paranormal, and he's off with his brother.
He's off adventuring with his brother, which is what he wanted.
Yes, which is all he ever wanted.
Yep. And
Seuss
gets the mystery shack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they were originally going to shut it. Stan was originally they were going to shut it down, but and Seuss is like, but no, but I. And then Stan has
you shut your mouth, sir. This mystery shack is too important.
And Stan has immediately wait. Of course, Seuss, you're in charge now. You're Mr. Mystery. It's like, which is exactly what Seuss wants. I mean,
yes.
The only thing that's missing is his dad, basically, and he knows he's never going to have that.
He sort of gets that with Stan, though, because a big part of it is Stan acknowledging Seuss as a worthy person.
Yep.
Seuss very much gets his closure.
Yep. Dipper and Mabel have to go home because summer's over.
Right, but they do get the big goodbye with all their friends, which it looked like was going to be denied to them before the Weirdmageddon.
It does make
Weird Apocalypse hadn't happened, Weirdmageddon hadn't happened, they wouldn't have.
Yeah. It does also make a point that, the last day, the day they go home, is also their birthday. The day before. So it's like literally they've just turned from 12 to 13.
They're teenagers now.
Teenagers now. That childhood over. You know what I mean?
Little ham-handed with the whole end of childhood deal, but I'll give it to them.
Absolutely.
That was Mabel's whole shtick. She didn't want to grow up.
Yep. She didn't want to have to go to high school, because no sane being wants to have to go to high school.
And so they have their goodbyes. Mabel has, tear-filled hugs with Candy and Greta. And Dipper and Wendy, Wendy gets down and does a little fist bump, and and she gives him a letter to say, open that when you miss Gravity Falls. And so they get on the bus and drive off. It looks like they're not going to be able to Mabel has to leave Waddles behind.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to leave Waddles behind. Eventually, Stan's like, fuck it, no, you're taking the pig. Your parents can deal with a pig.
Now it's your parents' problem. The bus driver tries to argue. He pulls out brass knucks and Ford pulls out a ray gun.
Yes.
Because it's so clear that both Mabel and Waddles are broken up by the concept of being separated.
And to the bus driver's credit, it's like, it's not worth getting in a fight with what are clearly two old men in professions that get you killed. So,
okay, Ashburner in the chat has just made me that's amazing if that's true. Apparently, the bus driver was voiced by Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks, which is
downright appropriate.
Yes. Brilliant.
Yes.
And so they drive off, and eventually Dipper's feeling a little down, opens the letter, and it's signed by all of their friends and family and everyone, and it just says, "See you next summer."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an invitation to come back, because that's awesome.
And, they drive off back home. And that's where the show ends. And I mean ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a coda during the credits where you see Stan and Ford fighting a Kraken. Mostly Stan punching it in the face.
Seuss running the Mystery Shack.
Yeah.
The rest of the cast mostly just sort of fucking around, being cool. Yeah.
Living in Gravity Falls,
Yeah. Except for Grenda, who ends up making out with the Austrian prince they meet.
Yes.
And I had to look it up when we were discussing it, but Wendy's dad is called Manly Dan.
Of course his name is Manly Dan.
Manly Dan the Lumberjack.
Manly Dan Corduroy.
Manly Dan Corduroy. And yes, during the coda there is that final image of the stone statue of Bill.
Yes.
Hinting that there may be more. But, as Alex Hirsch said, there is no more.
Right.
The show is
Disney...
There's the hint that Bill isn't wholly defeated forever.
Yeah.
He's just stuck in a different prison.
Disney pushed hard for a third season of this. They fully expected to keep this show running. This was a really popular show for them. And Alex Hirsch says, well, no, I've told my story.
I'm done. And guess who retained creative control? This guy.
And I've got to stand up and give him credit for that because, I mean, I haven't watched a show in a long time that's appealed to me, and again, to use that line, as an aging nerd, as well as an overgrown man-child. Quite so much at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had the balls to just know when his story was told.
Yep.
Yes.
And move on to something new. And try something different. And
yeah, well, he went out on top. He did the smart thing. He told the story. There was a complete arc to the show that he had planned out from the beginning. Mm-hmm. He told the story and then said, "No, that story is done. If I keep going, I'll fuck it up."
Unless
Which
a guy,
I'll tell you, is sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Unless a person would have just kept milking this for all it was worth and kill his own creation.
Yep.
And it was no. I mean, the guy is immensely talented. He voices half the fucking cast.
Yep.
Hang on, let me have a look. So he plays Stan, he plays Zeus, he plays Fiddleford, both versions, the young version and the Hilda version.
Right.
He plays Quentin Tremblay, the unofficial president of the United States.
Oh yes.
Plays a couple of the gnomes. He plays alternate versions of Dipper. He's Bill Cipher.
Looking fresh.
Yeah, he's Bill Cipher. He's, and that's just the ones that they've got on this one little thing here. He plays a lot of the additional voices throughout the show, and admittedly, you wouldn't know.
No.
Well, he's good. He's an excellent voice actor, on top of being great at writing, and a good animation director.
Exactly.
Damn bastard stole all the talent.
He does a lot of voices that do not sound anything alike. And that's
and more importantly, still manages to infuse them with a lot of subtlety and range.
Yes.
So yeah.
So at any rate, that's Gravity Falls. So I guess final thoughts. We should wrap things up here, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So we'll do the. We're not. Yeah, I mean, we could do the. I mean, basically, I don't think it's going to surprise anybody. We all loved the show.
Show sucks.
Eric is lying.
Eric is lying like a bat.
He's lying like a goddamn rug. No, seriously, it's charming, it's weird, it's funny, it's emotional. It's a really good show.
Yeah. I mean, we got to the part. We got to the part where Ford reappears, and we were fully. I mean, it was getting late because of the way that we watch these shows. I mean, it's like nearly. Well, we're coming around to 3 a.m. now, just recording this, because I'm in the UK. And when we were watching it at the time, I think it was something like 4:30, 5 a.m. for me while we were watching this, and we got to the episode where Ford comes back
out of the portal, which is basically the episode ends.
Where the episode ends, and that was the last episode we were watching that night.
Mm.
And as soon as that episode ended, on that cliffhanger, I'm like, so next episode? I don't think I went to bed that night. I think I just stayed up. We didn't get through the entire season at that point, but we watched at least another like 2 episodes or something like that, at least.
Yeah.
Because it's legit. There's 40 episodes, and it's a legitimately compelling show for the entire length of it.
The show deserves to be up in the pantheon of other great Western cartoons
easily.
Like DuckTales and Venture Brothers and Futurama and Batman the Animated Series and Avatar. Like it deserves to be up there.
Yes.
It's good. It's that good.
It is a shining example of what the West can do animation wise when it wants to.
Yep.
Yes.
No, I literally of the animated series I've seen that have an actual story, it is my favorite, and that means it's beating out fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was the previous title holder.
Saying something, dude.
It's saying a lot because Avatar: The Last Airbender is fucking amazing. So
I don't know if it beats Avatar for me, but it's on the same level. Like I said, it deserves a place in that like holy pantheon of shows that everyone will talk about or remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's beautifully animated. It's it's well. I shouldn't say beautifully. The intro sequence is beautifully animated, and there
The
are
intro
times-
sequence is beautifully animated, and it uses its budget well.
Yes, it's very subtle in what it does, and it's no small part to the combination of the acting as well as
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I gotta tell you, man, friggin' like digital animation. I don't mean like CGI, but like drawing stuff on a light board and then fixing it like on the computer. That's been a godsend to animation in general, and you can see that here.
yeah. There's a great scene that we all picked out and we commented on when it happened. That that sort of like reaction is difficult when you're doing still animation like this, and it's the episode. I think it's the episode. It is the episode where the whole Dipper and Wendy thing resolves.
Mm.
And they've developed this thing where they're doing a weekly movie night where they go around to each other's place and just watch films.
Yes.
And Dipper's lying on her bed watching this movie, and she's recently broken up with Robbie, the on and off guy. And being Dipper, he's like, "So, are you seeing anyone?" And she turns straight deadpan to him, just glaring at him. He's like, "Yeah, of course I am. Haven't you met my new boyfriend?" Reaches over and pulls over this giant teddy bear. Just eyes locked on Dipper. Just like the most psychotic stare you'll have.
It's clear. It is the stare of someone desperately trying to keep a straight face to keep
Yes.
tracking up.
But it's done in this simple animation style. And it's so subtle, but just you get exactly what it's
You
going
know
for.
exactly that look.
Yeah, the facial animations are arguably what they nail best, honestly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then the
And
action
I will-
sequences when they really
Yeah.
bust things out.
Yeah.
And I will mention the it's that subtle with the facial bits. There's and I don't think I mentioned it to you when we finished watching. I actually spotted the swap
Yes.
Oh yeah,
with Stan and Ford because there is a subtle giveaway, and it's the only difference between Stan and Ford.
well that and the
It's the
hands.
extra finger. Yeah.
Well, the extra finger, obviously, yeah, and it's the fact that Stan Lee has like pock marks on his nose,
Yep.
and that's literally it. And Ford doesn't, for whatever reason, but it's that subtle little thing that they don't try to fool you. They don't have to try. They don't go out of their way to try and fool you. They leave the clues in.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't bullshit you. They don't say, "Oh no, that was totally no, there's no way." No, the clues are there. If you're looking for them, you can see them.
Yes. Which reinforces that Bill's own fallibility,
Yes,
which is great because Bill could have spotted it. If you can, the friggin' Chaos God can,
yeah.
but he doesn't bother because, well, Chaos God. Hubris is a thing.
I'm just looking at some of the other sort of voice actors, some of the side characters. Bud Lethal was voiced by Stephen Root.
Who was? Oh, Bud. Oh, yeah.
I could see that actually.
Yeah, think about it now.
I didn't realize that Wendy was voiced by Linda Cardellini.
Yep.
Who's Linda Cardellini?
Her biggest role that I can think of, she was Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo.
Oh, her. Okay. Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that just pop up in there. Like, the goat that Gompers that lives on the Mr. Shack's property is Frank Welker.
Yeah, the goat.
Really, I didn't know that.
This is the best thing. Frank Welker is Gompers and Billy D. Williams is Waddles.
I didn't know that.
No, Waddles is D. Bradley Baker.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I mean. D. Bradley. Yeah, I got the right words in the right order, just wrong order. Sorry. Yeah. J.K. Simmons on
Still
Ford.
great.
Oh yeah, Ford is voiced by J.K. Simmons and is amazing, and totally channels Cave Johnson a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Kevin Michael Richardson plays half the cast. T.J. Miller, I forgot about that. Yeah, T.J. Miller plays Robbie. He's the guy that plays Deadpool's like friend in the movie.
Right.
He's a comedian.
Yeah, they're just the people that came into voice act stuff are just they're great.
Yeah, so Pacifica's parents is Nathan Fillion and Carrie Walgren.
Right. Nick Offerman's one of the two federal agents.
Yep.
Oh, fucking Jonathan Banks voices Stan and Stanford's dad.
Right.
The guy from Breaking Bad.
Yep.
I know him from at least. And yes, Jennifer Coolidge is Lazy Susan.
At any rate, we should wrap this up, I think.
Yes.
John DiMaggio is all over this as well.
Yeah, he is. Just...
Literally, there's one episode, somebody walks in, it's like, oh, hi, Bender.
Yes.
There's before we just finish up, there is one that I need to find it. I can't remember who it was, but there was one that was like really obvious. Give me a second. Oh right, yeah, it was the Waxworks. That's where they got John. Like I say, they got John Oliver, Larry King, Coolio. Lance Bass played himself basically in this several times. The guy from the NSYNC basically played the cloned boy band.
That's awesome.
Great. Yeah.
At any rate,
yeah, there's a lot of talent, a lot of class, and just a lot of everything in this show.
Yep, we all love it. It's great. If you
It's a
haven't
really
watched
good
it,
show.
find a way to watch it. It's fantastic.
That's the one I was thinking of. Nick Offerman.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I was so intent on looking, I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Anywho, that's going to do it for this episode, people. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed. And as I said, if you haven't watched Gravity Falls, go watch it. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
I know it's on Hulu.
You really got to watch it, guys. It's pretty freaking amazing.
Like, it's worth putting up with Hulu's stupid ad setup to watch it, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this time. Thank you for joining us for this special episode. As we said, we're going to be working on going through Trigun for the next regular episode.
Yep.
But yeah, that's going to do it. So thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.